Why would they not be our lapdogs? They've been our lapdogs since Tony Blair.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, September 5th, 2013. Time for your Gitmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 545.
This is No Agenda.
It's all about the gas here in the Travis Heights Hideout, capital of the Drone Star State, Austin Tejas. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I'm reading the tweet of Democracy Now! Saying that warmongering is headed for a defeat. I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Wait a minute, they're actually saying warmongering is headed for a defeat, or warmongers are headed for a defeat?
It says warmongering and the military-industrial complex are headed for an historic defeat in the House.
Oh, really? Wow, this is news, breaking news.
Yeah, this is 2 tweets ago.
Well. I've done some thinking about all of this.
Breaking tweets 2 minutes ago.
You realize that by the time people listen to this show, and there's some people who are still listening to episode 490. I'm not kidding. I got an
I wish
email.
they would. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Should I say it again?
Yes, please do.
Listen to the current show. Go back if you want to entertain yourself, but listen to the current show, and then kind of feed yourself older shows. Don't change.
It's like a snack.
Like you're pretending nothing's happened. Well, let me just
la. Nothing's going on. No, it's true. You should listen to the current episode, but then use older episodes as a tasty snack.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. When you have a moment for yourself. Now, I got an email from one of our producers who lives in. I guess we've always been pronouncing it wrong. Espoo.
Espoo.
We always say Espoo.
I say Espoo.
No, believe me, you don't.
Yeah.
Okay, Espoo. And he's like, I'm on episode 490 something. I'm like, dude, we might actually be talking about you today. You don't want to hear about it. I mean, that's 200 hours ago.
Yeah, and then the worst part is if you actually have something to contribute, which we expect from our producers.
Yeah, we might be dead by the time you send us an email.
Yeah, it's like, I heard this and that. Hey, we're long gone. Try to listen. Just skip the old shows. It's not important.
I think I have. I think I've figured out another piece of the meta puzzle, which I want to talk about today. And it kind of fell into my lap, actually, kind of accidentally. But if we just look at the news that everyone looks to us, turns to us, foolishly, I might add, to dissect.
Oh, they don't turn foolishly? What kind of a thing is that to say?
Well, you didn't. Did you just think to yourself, Curry will get it all?
No.
I'm looking at your clips. I mean, there was 8 hours of, and I taught Mickey this term. She'd never heard of it. Dog and Pony Show on C-SPAN over the past couple days.
Yeah.
That's an Americanism, Dog and Pony Show. It's not everyone understands this, but where does that come from? Town fairs and carnivals, John? The expression Dog and Pony Show?
Dog and Pony shows. Yeah. And it's considered just just kind of a canned act.
Right, kind of like a show, and everyone goes and politely.
Like the shows that they put on in Silicon Valley when the venture capitalists go out pushing their packages as a Dog and Pony Show.
Or when startups who have, the next Twitter meets Foursquare meets Facebook, they go around to the venture capitalists with their Dog and Pony Show.
Exactly.
Okay, so we don't have a Dog and Pony Show. But I do have a ton of clips that I mean, just some really interesting ones that kind of lead into where we're at. I mean, I don't even know where to start, really.
Well, I can start with a couple of clips.
All right, get us rolling.
Well,
okay, right. Shall I?
Okay, first of all, I found there's some new terms showing up.
Right, and we had already identified international norm and punishment.
Punishment. Well, there's this guy that I've been backtracking. This guy named Tony Blinken. Is that
the guy with the big head?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
He's the assistant deputy to the National Security Council or something. He works for Susan Rice.
Oh.
And he seems to be out there as the the guy, the go-to guy. And I have a bunch of clips of him which may lead into your clips better than your clips will lead into your own clips, because it makes no sense.
Because I can't lead into my clips with my clips. I need a clip.
That's the problem.
Yeah, help me out
so
here,
fine,
brother.
let's start off with, he showed up on the NewsHour, and he's obviously a stooge. He married, and you can look his wife up, who's got more. It's like, and there's this all gov website that tells you everything about everyone. This guy's not even. But his wife.
Stop right there. You are now officially cutting out bad.
Huh?
Yeah. Are you sure no one's home? No one's doing anything?
There's not a person here. Everyone's working.
Yeah. And did they all turn it off before they left?
Well, I would hope so.
All right. Well, it seems to be okay now, so we'll keep going. So Tony Blinken, who looks like he seems like a.
You have a picture of him?
Yeah, I'm looking at his. We have no idea how tall he is, of course.
No, I think that
he's about my age. That is never included on the. Did he go to Columbia Law School with the president? He might have.
No, maybe, but he's not. You have to check his age as possible.
He's 51. He's the same age as the president.
Yeah, maybe they ran into each other. Whatever the case is, he was part of the team all along, and then he married a woman who I believe, if you take a look at a picture of her, she looks, and she lives in Alexandria. Alexandria,
all right. No, we got to stop. We got to stop.
And so we're back.
It's magic. That is editing on the fly, people. All right, Tony Blinken.
Yeah, Blinken's married to some woman. If you can get a name, I can't her name.
Yeah, her name is, I got it here, Evan Ryan. And you sent me a show note about her as well, didn't you?
Yeah, well, look at the show note and you get a picture of her. And she's from, just remember, she's from Virginia. And I believe she
Spook.
And they just got
Spook. She's from a spook family, is what it looks like.
Yeah, and she has the look, and he doesn't. And
okay,
to say the least. And they just got married. Like when he got that job, they got married. Like, so I just think that she's watching him. And so this guy is a spokeshole for the I don't know.
He's the
White House.
Yeah, he's the deputy. Hold on a second, I got it here for you.
This is National Security Director.
Yeah, deputy national security advisor. Exactly.
So he's got no experience that I can tell in national security whatsoever. But that's okay. Who needs experience if you're in this White House? So and by the way, he has this interesting little habit. He's on the PBS NewsHour, and Judy Woodruff, every time she asks him a question, he's like, ask me a question. Just ask me a simple question. What do I have for coffee?
Hey, John, what kind of coffee do you have?
Well, Adam, I have coffee made in Colombia. Every time he answers questions, always, well, Judy.
Oh, yeah. Unlike
It might as well just say so. But he always says, yes, Judy. And it was like, it's really annoying because he does it all the time, and he never really answers any questions. He is just a kind of a stooge. So this is the introduction of the guy, and this is in the middle of a conversation they started, Judy and Blinken. But play Blinken Part 0.
Final question.
Oh, wait, is this? No, I'm sorry.
Blinken Part 0.
No, I got it. I missed it. Sorry, got it.
We hear Senators McCain and Graham saying in their conversation with the president, he's talking about degrading the capabilities of the Assad regime. That's going a step farther, isn't it? What does that mean, to degrade?
So, Judy, there are two things going on here that are important to understand. First, with regard to the underlying conflict in Syria, there's been a civil war going on, as you know, and we've been working very hard to end that war, and we think the best way to do it is through a negotiated transition that moves Assad out through a political process. In order to do that, we've got to get him to the negotiating table, and that involves, in part, putting the pressure on him, isolating him, and building up the opposition, which we've been doing in recent months.
Interesting. This is a recent interview that he did?
Yesterday.
So he is right on line with what a couple other people are saying about a political approach instead of a war approach.
Well, there's a lot of talking points in this guy's jibber-jabber. And
jibber-jabber, you say?
But the thing that I got, the next clip, which is not tied, because it was the first clip, and then I had I realized there were going to be a bunch of clips about Blinken. This one has no Blinken. Let me see. New PBS.
Just part 2? Tony Blinken?
No. Part 2 is actually part 2. I've been looking for part 1. There it is. This is the new buzzword I found. It's lethal aid. Oh. Now, when he blew this one out, I said, this is news.
He's also going to learn that things that are important to him militarily are at risk, and that can have the effect of convincing him that he needs to negotiate an end to the underlying conflict as well.
Well, in terms of helping the rebels, we know there was a very prominent news report yesterday that military lethal aid had not yet reached the opposition. Now we're hearing that it may be close to reaching the opposition. Can you tell us whether it has at this point, and if not, is it about to?
So, Judy, a number of countries have been providing assistance to the opposition, including the United States. And some months ago, you'll recall that when our intelligence community concluded initially that Assad had been using, on a small scale, chemical weapons over the past year, the president said that we would be increasing our support to the opposition. And we've spent some time putting in place an effort to do just that. And what I can tell you now, without detailing any of the support, is that we have moved out on that.
So lethal aid has reached the opposition, is reaching it now?
So, Judy, what I can say is, without detailing the kind of assistance we're providing, is that we have significantly increased the assistance that is getting to the opposition.
Okay, good. Let me roll in here. This is a perfect point.
So Judy is what he says.
Yeah, no,
so he uses both so and
will.
Judy.
So it would be better if he went so well, Judy. That should just be, in fact, I'm going to use that at home when I talk to Mickey. So, well, Judy, let me ask you a question about dinner.
Judy.
Okay, now I want to roll in because you actually have taken it a step further. There's a lot of people who count on us, to watch the C-SPAN, get the moments, let them know what's happening so we can, and this is every single bit of it is facade, is show, is dog and pony, as we discussed earlier, and it will come back into Tony Blinken. He's clearly a newbie.
Yeah,
I mean he's going. This is not what he should be saying. So let me show you how it's done. Here is so we're going to go straight to Brolf Witzer, and he has Debbie Wasserman Schultz on, and. Man, she put on a performance. Now, this, of course, she is not only a congresswoman from Florida. She is also is she not the chair of the whole Democrat Party? She's like the head honcho. She's
one. I know she's the big party giver.
Yeah, she throws party. That's for sure. And she's on with Brolf, and this is how you talk about other countries being involved and going to help us.
Other countries do it.
Well, there are other countries. I mean, we have, and from the briefings that I've received, there are dozens of countries who are going to stand with the...
Dozens would mean at least 48, right?
Dozens would mean at least 20.
No, 40.
Well, actually, no, a couple
I'm sorry.
dozen is
40,
24.
48.
36.
Do you think that should be 36? Should be? Okay, 36.
United States, who will engage with us.
By the way, 48 makes no sense in any multiple of... Sorry. Mickey, like...
No, it does. 24. It's 4 dozen.
Yeah. You know what we're getting? Skype is telling me we're getting a preventable... Hold on. Auto-preventable mic overload is the error that I'm getting from you.
I'm overmodulating.
I think you're overmodulating, yeah.
Let me fix that.
I like the auto-preventable mic overload.
Yeah, they want...
That's a title, by the way. Let me see.
It's too long.
Okay, it's gone now.
Yeah, because I'm talking lightly.
But is it me that's doing the the overload?
Would
no,
you have me on here. I've now checked the auto box, so I should not.
Okay, so all right, so and nothing. Well, it's still popping up. Maybe I should check the auto box. Hold on.
Yeah, why don't you check the auto box on?
I don't want to get in trouble, you know. Oh boy, that's really bad now. Where's audio setting? Okay. Save.
Oh, yeah, save.
All right, you saved as well? Did you save?
I just did now.
Okay. Auto-preventable mic overload. All right, well, let's continue. Good. I was going to say I had a rough 48 hours. And, Mickey helped me celebrate my birthday for 2 days straight.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Shall I tell you one thing that's interesting? Russian hookers are the best because they know when to leave.
Military action, and also that back us up.
Which countries will use their military power to attack targets inside Syria?
That's honestly something, Wolf, I'm not at liberty to say. I mean, some of what I've learned is classified. Some is unclassified.
Of the dozens of countries, it's classified. You can't mention a one.
What I can tell you is that there are many nations who have committed to support the United States in our action.
Militarily.
And that's going to be important.
And you're saying militarily, yes. Not just politically or vocally, but militarily, yes. They will support the United States.
Push it,
they
bro.
will go in with their F-16s, their own missiles, their firepower.
Who has F-16s, their own missiles, their own firepower that's going to join in?
And target sites in Syria?
In both military and diplomatic and political support, there are dozens of nations who have committed to back us up.
Lovely. Now, that was that. Okay, all right, good. She's a pro. She knows how to. And Brolf was pushing. I was quite proud of what Brolf was doing.
I think the media's sick of this bull crap.
Well, okay. So now she's going to do something. Now, this is really fantastic. Because, the idea of the Dog and Pony show for some kind of intervention, some kind of military intervention in Syria, or off the coast of Syria. The whole idea is, this breaking an international norm, need to be punished for gassing their own people, killing children. And Debbie Wasserman Schultz hasn't just. I am so in awe of her pulling not just a Jew card, but a mom Jew card. This was very, very, very good.
That we respond to atrocities and exercise the moral leadership that the United States has always led with. And for me as a mother, to see that searing image of babies lined up, murdered by their own government, innocent children. I mean, as a Jew, Wolf, I have to tell you, as a member of Congress who represents one of the largest Holocaust survivor populations in the country, to me the concept of never again has to mean something. And the United States, morally, cannot turn the other cheek. Too many leaders of ours have regretted that decision.
How awesome is that?
That was terrific.
I'm in awe of, and by the way, to say she represents the largest Holocaust survivor group in the community or population. I mean, there's in all of the United States 120,000 by the numbers that I could find Holocaust survivors, and they're all 80 or 90. So in Florida itself, it's got to be, a tenth of that. It's like, if we truly want to talk about the Holocaust survivors, where's the Dutch contingent? How come they're not all up in arms about never again? I mean, come on. That was like, wow. Anyway, in awe of what she was able to do there.
That was great.
Yeah.
That's a lot better than Blinken.
And then we have... So, of course, Ron Paul somehow, they're so desperate to get any kind of controversy going. But it has to stay within limits, obviously. And Ron Paul, who does his own interview shows these days, which is kind of...
He's decided to go into competition with us.
Yeah, I'm not too happy about that. Yeah. It's like, come on, Ron, you're a great guest. Although he went too far with Brolf, and Brolf did what he always does.
Thing could easily spread, but who created Iraq? We did. It's our country, and now they're aligned with the Iranians. So the whole theory is that we're going into Syria because that's the way you march into Iran. At the same time, we've made it tougher. We've made it tougher for Israel. We've made it tougher for.
All right, here's the director going.
Want to live in peace in Iraq.
Brolf, cut him off, Brolf.
Stirring it up in Syria. It's a civil war. We don't have the authority. And the vote in England, the British vote in the Parliament, that is fantastic. The first time since 1782. The people are getting in charge.
I got to wrap it up, but I just want to clarify one point. You're not blaming the United States for the civil war in Syria over the past 2.5 years that have already resulted more than 100,000 people dead. I think we just lost Ron Paul. Unfortunately, the satellite must have gone down, but we'll have him back for sure. Ron Paul joining us. Congressman Pigley, thank you.
You can see the screen. He's in a try box, and the minute Brolf cuts him off, his box goes blue. I mean, not a satellite, like a disconnected seagull, just blue, just like, fuck it, just get rid of it.
I always think it would be funnier if they put bars up.
Well, they didn't. That's what I said. They should have done bars, but they didn't know what to do. It was like, oh my God,
beeping sound, and then some channel number down at the bottom.
The guy's making sense. Stop him. We can't have this. All right, so then there was all kinds of funny stuff going on outside of the White House, outside of the classified meeting, because there was a classified meeting, you see, where and people flew in from all over the country to get the classified information that proves, for fact, science, no doubt about it, that they have high confidence that sarin gas was used. And Nancy Pelosi, she just makes no qualms about it.
I am hopeful, as the American people are persuaded, that this action happened.
What? You're hopeful that the American people are persuaded that this action happened? Well, that kind of sums it up, doesn't it?
Jeez.
And then,
it's actually ghoulish the way she puts it.
Now, I think she could have done a Mom Jew card. Instead, she did the granny card.
This story, and then I really do have to go. My 5-year-old grandson, as I was leaving San Francisco yesterday, he said to me, Mimi, my name, Mimi.
Mimi?
Did you find that odd, too?
Yes, I found it odd and somewhat disturbing.
Code.
War with Syria. Are you yes, war with Syria? No, war with Syria. No, he's 5 years old. And war, he's saying war. I mean, we're not talking about war. We're talking about an action. Yes, war with Syria, no war with Syria. I said, well, what do you think? He said, I think no war. I said, well, I generally agree with that, but, they've killed hundreds of children there. They've killed hundreds of children. And he said, 5 years old, were these children in the United States? And I said, well, no, but they're children wherever they are.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
So she goes on for another minute with a story that goes nowhere, other than apparently the 5-year-old kid did want the bombs dropped or something. After it's all about children.
It was insane.
That was completely insane. So then we have Menendez. I think it's Menendez.
Yeah,
who is chairing this special session. Now, this is all part of the cover, you see, and I'm going to get to this probably in about 15 minutes. But it's all part of the cover because the president now is already on his way. He's off to Europe. And, of course, the G20 is a big deal that's coming up, and that kind of plays into all of this. And Menendez is very obvious what the next 8 hours spread over 2 days was going to be when you hear his opener.
Let me say before I turn to Senator Corker for his opening statement, the President is asking for an authorization for the use of limited force. It is not his intention or ours to involve ourselves fully in Syria's civil war. What is before us is a request, and I quote, to prevent or deter the use or proliferation of chemical or biological weapons within, to, or from Syria, and to protect the United States and its allies and partners against the threat posed by such weapons. This is not a declaration of war, but a declaration of our values to the world.
Oh, okay. Just want to make sure I got it straight.
Before we go into this, then I do have to go back to the Tony material.
Okay.
Because he again, besides telling us that that we, the U.S. of A., are providing lethal aid to the rebels, brings up a couple more others. He reveals another couple of things that I think were kind of overlooked, and I'm sure weren't covered. They weren't covered overtly in these discussions that you have the recordings of. So let's play Blinken Part 2.
Okay. Come on, Blinken.
How long do you think any campaign strike against the Assad regime will take? The reason I asked Tony Blinken is that we know in striking Kosovo, many years ago, the Clinton administration spoke about it lasting a few days. It went on for something like 72 days. Once something like this gets started, how do you know you can put an end to it?
Judy, it's really important that people understand what this is and what this isn't. And it's understandable that people have concerns about this being some kind of open-ended potential action. It is not. The reason people tend to have that as an initial reaction is they are looking at this through the frame of the last decade. A war in Iraq, a war in Afghanistan, hundreds of thousands of American troops committed. Well, what this is a very targeted, very focused, time-limited action to deter Assad from using chemical weapons again and to make it harder for him to do so. What it is not is open-ended. It is not boots on the ground. It is not Iraq. It is not Afghanistan. It's not Kosovo. It's not even Libya. I can't be any more precise than that, but it is a very limited, targeted action, but an effective one to deal with the use of chemical weapons.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yes.
By the way, to watch her on this particular interview, she has the most weird look on her face, like she's talking to a man who's insane.
Well, but Judy has kind of a weird look about her.
Yeah, but not this weird. She's just weird looking, but okay. You know, this was like her face was scrunched up. Like, are you kidding me? We might as well play the last part, which is the talking points, which I believe you'll have parts of, or we'll hear more of. But here, this part 3 of this character. I believe are the talking points that apply to this entire segment of this show.
And is the administration prepared for unintended consequences? The Syrian foreign minister is saying today there's no way of knowing what will be the repercussions of a U.S. strike. He talks about Syria striking back at Turkey, at Israel, and at Lebanon if the U.S. hits his country.
We are very well prepared. We know that any action has risks. Any action can have unintended consequences. We do a lot of work to make sure we anticipate what those might be and to take steps to mitigate them. But we also believe, fundamentally, that not acting would have far greater and far graver consequences. If we don't act to enforce a norm against the use of chemical weapons that's been around for nearly 100 years, that our Congress has gotten strongly behind over the last decade, if we don't do that, Assad will conclude that he can use these weapons again with impunity. Other countries in the region and beyond who have such weapons or aspire to get them will also conclude that they can acquire them and use them with impunity. That would do terrible damage to our security and to the security of countries around the world. So there are always dangers in acting. We work to mitigate them. There are far greater dangers in not acting.
That's the main talking point I believe that they're going to promote.
Yeah, and I want to let everyone know the word impunity. Which is another one of those little memes that we didn't touch on. Impunity means without repercussion. So if a child is allowed to take candy from the candy jar without being punished, that is with impunity. Just one of those things where words matter, because you hear it over and over and over again, and at a certain point you don't even know what it means anymore. So this is true. In fact, this did come up in the hearing. This is where Watermelon Head Kerry, and I'm sorry, he has a huge head.
And by the way, did you see I don't know if I have a clip of this, but did you see the women in the back with the red hands?
Well, yeah, and this is when this happened with the red hand. It's very specific. I talk about this in order because that's when I understood. That's when it all started to come together to me. I was like, oh my God. Okay. So first let's talk about, what happens if, and, there's no boots on the ground, but of course, we don't really want to restrict whatever, blah, 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 blah.
And, of course, that is a negotiation between the Congress and the administration. Would you tell us whether you believe that a prohibition for having American boots on the ground, is that something that the administration would accept as part of a...
So here they're talking about negotiating the document that was handed over by the administration so that, we could say, well, you can only do this, we'll limit you to do that, and of course, Kerry will have none of that because that's not... What are you doing?
Nothing, just talk.
It's annoying when you're playing the frickin' tambourine in the background.
I'm sorry, I just picked it up.
Solution.
Mr. Chairman, it would be preferable not because there's any intention or any plan or any desire whatsoever to have boots on the ground.
However,
I think the President will give you every assurance in the world, as am I, as the Secretary of Defense and the Chairman. But in the event Syria imploded,
imploded, John. Write this down because I need to know the definition of implosion.
An implosion is like when you break a old-fashioned TV tube, it explodes inward.
Inward, right? Okay, got it.
Or
you mean it's a metaphor?
No, it's an actual.
It's an actual scientific thing.
Yes,
there was a threat of a chemical weapons cache
falling
into the hands of al-Nusra or someone else. And it was clearly in the interests of our allies and all of us, the British, the French, and others, to prevent those weapons of mass destruction falling into the hands of the worst elements. I don't want to take off the table.
Okay, so you understand what he's saying. He's saying, well, if it got really bad.
I thought they were promising there would be no problem putting that in.
And let me
thing.
Let me give you a little intel from our actual boots on the southern Turkish border, the border with Syria,
right? Which we teased in the newsletter.
Yes. So first of all, everybody there pretty much expects bombs to be dropped, and these are servicemen and women who are responding, and some what we call advisors who have been in and out of the region for a while. So they're pretty sure that stuff is going to get dropped. They're not happy about it because they say that there's so many chemical stockpiles in Syria that we don't even have enough people in our army to guard them all if we wanted to. Think about what that means. So when they say boots on the ground, and by the way, any politician that says boots on the ground, you should put an M16 to his head. I'm so disgusted with this term at this point. How about, putting people, killing people, getting
soldiers
killed,
at risk.
Soldiers at risk. The boots on the ground abstracts it so far.
We're going to invade.
Don't say that to me, boots on the ground. It makes me mad now at this point. It's horrible code, and it's being forced down your throat. And just to wrap up the intelligence that I got, besides that we don't have the manpower, it is expected. No one in the armed services that I've spoken to or communicated with, bit message, is happy about it. But in addition to that, the secret intelligence that everyone got when they came back to Washington, apparently the Germans recorded Syrian army officials talking about the chemical attack after the attack. And that is their big secret intel that they have. It's like, yeah, I would be on the ham radio talking about it if it happened in Texas. Like, this is, they have no smoking gun. This is why they only have so-called high confidence. Okay, so, and again, this is all leading to something that is kind of surprising. And I am confident that some kind of missiles will fly, but there's not going to be World War III. Russia's not going to retaliate. Iran's not going to retaliate. Although Kerry would have you believe that this is all about, essentially Iran, and you're either with us or you're with the terrorists.
I will tell you, there are some people hoping that the United States Congress doesn't vote for this very limited request the president has put before you. Iran is hoping you look the other way. Our inaction would surely give them a permission slip.
Permission slip? What are we in kindergarten now? A permission slip. Give a permission slip.
At least misinterpret our intention, if not to put it to the test. Okay.
So, I just had this one. I think this is maybe a funny clip of Kerry trying to explain to the public that he's trying to, his whole job is to sell this thing, and he's having a hard time even getting the words out of his face.
All of them landed in opposition-controlled or contested territory. We have a map. Physical evidence.
A map! John! We have a map.
It's physical evidence.
It has an X on it, and with a dotted line showing the trajectory.
Showing every geographical point of impact, and that is concrete.
It's a map.
What?
It's a map. It's concrete. But there's more.
Within minutes of the attack, 90, I think, to be precise, maybe slightly shorter.
All right, hold on a second. When you're lying, this is not how you do it, John F. Kerry. So he's supposed to say, or what he's trying to communicate, is that within minutes of the attack, social media, the word is media, exploded. But he's tripping over himself so poorly that he has to say 90 to be precise, or kind of something like that. This is a man who's lying.
Every geographical point of impact, and that is concrete. Within minutes of the attack, 90, I think, to be precise, maybe slightly shorter. The social media exploded.
And he says the social media. The social media, he's upset with himself, so he can't even say social media. It's social media.
Slightly shorter. The social media exploded with horrific images.
And then he just goes on and on with the same talking points. Now, of course, we know that he's lying, and Putin knows he's lying too, and says it.
Russian President Vladimir Putin flatly called Secretary of State John Kerry a liar for telling Congress on Tuesday that al-Qaeda enjoys less sway over the Syrian rebel forces than it used to.
We communicate with U.S. officials and assume that they are decent people. Kerry lies openly, and he knows that he lies. This is sad.
Putin also
I love that. This is sad.
Alleged through his foreign ministry today that it was the rebels who've been using chemical weapons. Yet Putin also said Russia might join in an attack on the Assad regime if it's proved the regime was culpable.
Whoop. Now that's interesting. If he indeed said that, of course, I don't really have any translated documents of what President Putin said. But he's calling Kerry a liar, and I think that's a pretty bold face. Now, one more piece from this 9 hours of testimony. There's tons of stuff in the show notes. All kinds of clips you can look and listen, do whatever you want. I'm skipping around. I thought this was the fun. There was right at the end, Rand Paul is going off on Kerry. Kerry gets pissed at him, and then something really funny happens.
It's limited.
What?
I was just going to say, I can't imagine those two liking each other outside of work.
Well, there's a third guy in the room who was also having none of Kerry's watermelon head business.
It's limited.
By doing so, you announce in advance that your goal is not winning.
That's not.
And I think the last 50 years of secretaries of defense would say,
Senator,
if your
when
goal is not to
people
win,
are asked,
you shouldn't be
do
involved.
you want to go to war in Syria? Of course not. Everybody, 100% of Americans will say no.
And by the way, I'm a little tired of everyone throwing out percentages like 98%, 98.5%, 99. Have you noticed this? That it's like it's all 98.
Yes, because it's worked so well at the global warming argument.
Right. So now it's 9, and now he's 100% sure.
We say no. We don't want to go to war in Syria either. It's not what we're here to ask. The president is not asking you to go to war. He's not asking you to declare war. He's not asking you to send one American troop to war. He's simply saying we need to take an action that can degrade the capacity of a man who's been willing to kill his own people by breaking a nearly 100-year-old prohibition, and will we stand up and be counted to say we won't do that? That's not, I just don't consider that going to war in the classic sense of coming to Congress and asking for a declaration of war and training troops and sending people abroad and putting young Americans in harm's way. That's not what the president is asking for here. General, do you want to speak of that, all to that?
No, not really, Secretary. Thank you for offering.
By the way.
So that's Dempsey, and Dempsey just lets him hang out there.
Dempsey, if I was watching this,
Mm-hmm.
and Dempsey was like he was either folded arms or he was doing a crossword puzzle or something. He was so disengaged from this.
Oh yeah.
That it was
because it's a dog
still
and
wearing
pony.
his Bakelite badge just in case anybody doesn't know who he is.
In case someone needs to wake him up, like, hey Dempsey, huh? What? No, I mean, and everyone, of course, the distraction of the week is John McCain was playing poker on his iPhone, and then he tweeted like, "Oh, it's horrible! I got busted and I lost." It's because this is a dog and pony show. I do want to just play and poor Kerry. I feel a little bad for him. Because, he wanted to be president, obviously. I mean, we know that he ran for president.
He's in over his head with this job.
But this is the problem, is that he, first of all, he was doing interviews from his clippity-clop stateroom. I mean, I'm sure you saw that last Sunday. He was on all the Sunday talk shows. He didn't go to the studios. No, he stands in his wood-paneled room with his big flags and emblem because he's trying to be something that he can never be, which is eloquent, first of all, and he's you're right, way over his head.
Over time, I've now more and more convinced that he's not that bright.
Oh no, he's dumb. He's totally dumb.
He's dumb.
He's dumb. I'm sorry, John F. Kerry is dumb. But but he's a bonesman. This is why he's all in on this. He's from the Skull and Bones Club, and he does something in this altercation with Duncan, who's from, I think, South Carolina. First he goes into shut up slave mode, and then it gets funny. because he thinks he's like the boss of me.
Have there been efforts to
put weapons in the hands of Syrian rebels and also transfer weapons from Libya to Syria?
So this is a valid question. He's like, hey, did these weapons that, like maybe these chemical weapons, did we transfer them from, like, I don't know, Libya, Benghazi, something like that?
Well, let me begin, Congressman, by challenging your proposition that I've never done anything except advocate caution because I volunteered to fight for my country. And that wasn't a cautious thing to do when I did it.
Mr. Secretary,
secondly, when I was in the Senate, I'm going to finish, Congressman.
I'm going to finish.
I am going to finish. When I was in the United States Senate, I supported military action in any number of occasions, including Grenada, Panama. I can run a list of them. And I am not going to sit here and be told by you that I don't have a sense of what the judgment is with respect to this. We're talking about people being killed by gas, and you want to go talk about Benghazi and Fast and Furious.
Absolutely want to talk about Benghazi because 4 Americans lost their lives. I have sympathy for the people in Syria. And I do think there should be a worldwide response, but we should act cautiously before we act unilaterally.
We are acting cautiously. Yes. We are acting so cautiously that the President of the United States was accused of not acting because he wanted to have sufficient evidence and he wanted to build the case properly.
It's been 15 days.
Congressman,
we go now
Congressman,
to Mr.
Chairman, point of privilege here.
Point of privilege! Point of privilege! Point of privilege! I looked this up. Point of privilege. This is a parliamentary motion when a member is in need of assistance for illness or personal emergency.
It's not what a guy who's testifying can say.
Or the need to immediately answer a charge of misconduct made by another member. This is point of privilege. What are you doing, Watermelon Head?
I didn't see this, but the parliament. There's a parliamentarian in Congress that whispers in the ear of the chair usually, and they would shut these things off. So you're not qualified to do a point of privilege for your position.
But this is how insane this guy is.
No, he's horrible.
Okay, so
it's worse by the minute. I have to say that John F. Kerry becoming the Secretary of State is an improvement for our show over Hillary.
Yes, I have to say because he's fun. He's fun.
He's more fun because all we had on her was that she made a lot of horse-like noises. She was probably the devil.
She didn't swear.
But it was all, you can't fight the devil. It's just the bonehead.
Lucifer is just unbeatable. At the end of the day, we know.
Oh, yeah, no, we couldn't top anything.
Lucifer keeps coming back. Carrie, on the other hand, easy target. And the big head to the shootout. Now, this is where I realized, oh, man, and this is the first day, I realized this thing is set up. Recognize this voice?
And lead the world with conviction that is clear about our...
By the way, I need to point out, this is happening at the end of his opening statement, perfectly timed.
And lead the world with conviction that is clear about our responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Committee will be in order. The committee will be in order.
We don't want another
I ask the police to restore order.
Wait a minute. Nobody wants this war. Cruise missiles, launching cruise missiles means another war. The American people do not want this.
Now, John, do you recognize that voice?
Sounds like the Operation Pink or Pink Slip.
Yes, and who is the woman?
I don't remember her
She's
name.
the same one that interrupted Obama four times in a row.
That same one.
She's the same one.
Well, what's the point of her? Maybe she's just a hired gun.
Yes. And why is she in there? And she gets, the point of, order. Then she gets to talk again, completely unrestricted. And then they take her out. It's right after Kerry finishes his opening remarks. Then she, as if on cue, she goes, and then Kerry jumps back in.
The first time I testified before this committee when I was 27 years old, I had feelings very similar to that protester.
No, you didn't. So this was his setup. This was his setup.
It was scripted.
Yeah, so that he could say, I protested and I understand, but this is all about, we can't gas children, etc. Okay. So meanwhile, and here's what's this is very interesting that's going on. The president is jetting off to Sweden. Now this is, and he actually, he's all in all the Nordic countries. He might have popped into Finland, God knows. But he's going to have dinner with the king and queen in Sweden because, of course, he's on his way to the G20, which is in St. Petersburg. He was supposed to see Putin. That's not going to happen. All part of the show, I'm kind of convinced in this case. And then the president is in... here we go, is in Sweden, and he has a press conference. And this is also scheduled, and this was a big WTF for people, but I'm kind of disagreeing. I think that this guy is so slick. He's so smart. He knows exactly what he is doing. He is so right on the money. And here's Reuters getting the first question, an American journalist in Sweden asking the question, and the president is literally accepting this question as a gift, and he will say so.
Steve Holland of Reuters.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, sir. Have you made up your mind whether to take action against Syria, whether or not you have a congressional resolution approved? Is a strike needed in order to preserve your credibility for when you set these sort of red lines? And were you able to enlist the support of the Prime Minister here for support in Syria?
Like we care of the Swedish Prime Minister. Whatever. That's not the point.
Let me unpack the question.
Because it was a gift. Let me unpack.
Here's the other thing. Stop. So he says, when did he come up with the Silicon Valley crap? Unpack the question.
Because it was a gift.
Thing I was
it was a gift.
There was
John, it was a gift.
I know it was a gift, but why would he be using this terminology? Unpack the question?
Because it was a gift. You unwrap a question.
Oh, let me unwrap my gift.
Yes.
Support in Syria.
Let me unpack the question. First of all, I didn't set a red line. The world set a red line. The world set a red line when governments representing 98% of the world's population said the use of chemical weapons are abhorrent.
And what is the word abhorrent?
You mean abhorrent.
Did he mean abhorrent? And he said abhorrent?
He meant abhorrent. There is no word abhorrent.
I looked this up too. I'm like, man, am I missing a word here?
No.
How can you flub that one?
I don't know if he's ever said the word before. Has he? Has he said abhorrent?
But I couldn't find any prompters.
As much as we do.
Was he reading a script from a distance and he couldn't make out the word? Or someone said, use the word abhorrent, and he didn't hear it right? Oh, he did.
I don't know.
It's very, very strange. So
it's not. I don't think he's reading from a prompter.
It was weird. It was weird. The word abhorrent. I mean, come on. Okay. Now, and of course, the whole world is like, and particularly the right wing, all the I don't know what all these blogs and all this bull crap paid for by Republican crap. Like, oh man, another distraction. Let's go back and let's listen to what he said about the red line, because here he is actually saying, I never made up the red line.
And passed a treaty forbidding their use even when countries are engaged in war. Congress set a red line when it ratified that treaty.
Now, this, by the way, is something no one is looking up. This is the Syrian Accountability Act from 2003, which he is acting upon. He has every right by our stupid, idiotic Congress and congressional law system to do what he is doing. And this is, by the way, Elliot Engel is the guy who drafted this legislation in 2003. Elliot Engel, a fine Democrat from the warmongering party. And it's all about going in and kicking some ass. And, of course, it was because they were encroaching on Lebanon's territory. And this kind of comes back to what you said on Sunday, that, you know, it may be just, indeed, we need to level everything, make it all look the same, make Syria look the same as Lebanon. But the president is referring directly to something you've not heard anyone talk about, the Syrian Accountability Act of 2003.
Congress set a red line when it indicated that in a piece of legislation titled the Syria Accountability Act that some of the horrendous things that are happening on the ground there need to be answered for. And so when I said in a press conference that my calculus about what's happening in Syria would be altered by the use of chemical weapons, which the overwhelming consensus of humanity says is wrong.
All right, let's pause it there for a second.
Well,
this guy is good, John.
What?
This guy is good.
No, he is good, because I have the other clip, too. I have both these clips.
Let me play it now.
Actually did whatever he said, But before you go there, I'm wondering about, he does this every so often where he throws out a document. He says, because of this, and he throws the Accountability Act, Syrian Accountability Act. Angles. Yep. You actually went to the effort to actually look at the thing.
And I marked it up for everybody.
You marked it up, which is what you do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if he this is the way he's thinking. He says, okay, this situation is getting out of control. The bad publicity is not too well. Let me just give them a gift. Let me give the media a gift. And go,
fuck, John, your fucking computer is fucking up again. I can't fucking hear you now. Jesus Christ.
To cuss me out.
I'm not cussing you out. I'm angry because we're into a conversation. Can you back it off more? I have no idea why it's still giving me auto errors. Just back it off more. I have
my auto, but let me turn down my gain.
Turn down the gain, and you've got your auto on, right?
Yeah, I got the auto on. Is that better?
I have no idea. Just pick it up. You're wondering if
here's the deal. So he goes out and he gets he finds something in the background there that he can use as leverage, and then he gives it to the media, expecting them to look at it, and they never do. And this has got to drive him crazy, because he's got to be thinking to himself, I got all the excuses in the world, and then one of his guys comes up, hey, look at this. Did you ever read this? Holy crap, this gives me everything I need. Let me throw it out there, and they'll run with it. But because the media has been so deballed and don't give a crap, and they don't do their job anymore, they don't even pick up the ball, and it just must drive him crazy.
Well, yes and no. Yes and no. No, he knew about this from day one. The minute he said, I have the authority to do this, and let's just go back to the Red Line press conference.
We cannot have a situation where chemical or biological weapons are falling into the hands of the wrong people. We have been very clear to the Assad regime, but also to other players on the ground, that a red line for us is we start seeing a whole bunch of chemical weapons moving around or being utilized. That would change my calculus. That would change my equation.
Now, so he is spot on. This is set up. He knew it. There was a reason for this. And the reason is, of course, the Wes Clark 7.
So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, are we still going to war with Iraq? And he said, oh, it's worse than that. He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, this is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran.
Now, there's a reason for all of this. There is an absolute reason why this is taking place now, and why we needed to hurry up. We need to get everything into Congress. And, of course, Congress, their job is actually to delay a little bit, because we got some interesting things happening. First, let's let Obama finish up with that his credibility is not on the line here.
That wasn't something I just kind of made up. I didn't pluck it out of thin air. There's a reason for it. So that's point number 1. Point number 2. My credibility is not on the line.
No.
No.
The international community's credibility is on the line. And America and Congress's credibility is on the line, because we give lip service to the notion that these international norms are important.
All right. So now I'm thinking, all right, hold on a second. This guy does everything he does is calculated. Everything he says, and he's so good that he is now. And I hear what you're saying, but I think that the reason why he said, "Hey, wait a minute, this is not my credibility. This is Congress from 2003. This has been on the books. I'm just following orders here. I'm supposed to, when something goes wrong with Syria, and we don't have to read through all the Syrian Accountability Act, you kind of get the idea of the word accountability. It's been going on for, here are 10 years later. It's been simmering, waiting for this to happen. And so it's like, hey, this is Congress's problem. This is not my problem. I have to go and do this regardless because that is the law. And, of course, I'm a constitutional lawyer. Now I'm looking over at the timing of this is weird. Why is he pushing so hard and then throws it into Congress and then he takes off immediately? He's going to the G20. I'm like, there's got to be something here. And I think the thing that tipped me off was, and I've got tons of show notes on this, was the big press release. They did a big PR thing from the Nordic countries, and let me see if I can find it here. Hold on a second. Well, crap, I'll get it in a minute. Essentially saying, hey, we're all in on Syria. We're all in on the FTA. I'm like, wait a minute. Why do we have at the top of the press release Syria and the FTA, also known as the TAFTA, also known as the TTIP or the TIP. We're just putting the TIP in. So I go looking around, and I'm thinking, hey, what are these guys talking about? Here's Barroso.
A future deal between the world's two most important economic powers will be a game changer. Together, we will form the largest free trade zone in the world. So this negotiation will set the standard, not only for our future bilateral trade and investment, including regulatory issues, but also for development of global trade rules.
All right, so now I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Why is everyone talking about this free trade agreement ahead of this G20? I mean, is this something that we have to pay attention to? Here's the EU Commission trade dude, Karel de Gucht. He's a Dutch guy on this whole TTIP.
Ideally, we'd like to complete this work in about 2 years, if possible before the end of the mandate of this Commission. But more paramount than speed is achieving an ambitious deal.
An ambitious deal. And I'm like, hold on a second. I remember something about this, and it was another one of those things that came up in the State of the Union, just like the 3D printers and all this other stuff. It's like there was something that I remembered, and I went back and I found the clip.
I'm announcing that we will launch talks on a comprehensive transatlantic trade and investment partnership with the European Union. Because trade that is fair and free across the Atlantic supports millions of good-paying American jobs.
Mm-hmm. And what are those millions of good-paying American jobs? Well, as you delve into it, you have to understand the meta of this all, that, this president is promoting our natural gas industry. The United States is now, if you look at the potential output, and let's just pretend that the fracking that we're doing in America and the buildup of the fracking will indeed equal the numbers that are projected, which we will equal that of Russia. Now, here is a $10 billion investment from the Qatar Petroleum going to Exxon, and this is for a liquid or a natural gas export terminal here in Texas. And when you look at, if you start just Googling around for natural gas export USA, you will find tons of amazing articles about how this is going to, if we can make this work, how it will essentially save the United States and Europe. And here's why. Currently, it's under $4 at the wellhead for gas in America. Now, this is not high enough. We need that to go up because we just can't no one here can make money on this stuff. But we have to get the demand up. Russian gas to Europe is at $15 per million BTU. So there's your discrepancy. We are in a beautiful spot in the United States of America. We don't have to build pipelines because, well, first of all, it's going to be almost impossible because you have to build them under the ocean. But if we have these export terminals, we are right in the middle between Asia And Asia, certainly Japan, where we had an unfortunate nuclear accident and they shut down all of their nuclear power. And Europe, who are in desperate need because the Russians have been turning on. They're famous for doing it. They're famous for turning off pipelines, raising prices willy-nilly. So there's this problem that is, and it's like it's a $10 difference, $11 difference. Now, what is the free trade agreement about? It enables American exports to countries that have a free trade agreement so that, there's no export, there's no process. Right now, if you want to export a container ship of natural gas, it can take up to 20 months to get the process through the whole system. If we have the free trade agreement, and you look at it, it'll say climate change and other jobs and whatever bullshit. This is about getting gas from America to Europe, and that is the competition. And Obama took this. So he's trying to negotiate this right now at the G20. He wants this free trade agreement done so we can get it going. It'll be hundreds of billions of dollars in America. It'll really help out Europe with we'll be producing something. I have to say, this is kind of a brilliant plan if you don't mind killing people to get it done. It's great because we can save our economy by finally producing something other than just war material. Get it over to Europe. Europe will be our bitch now. We completely cut off Russia at the pass. Now,
well, here it comes.
Let me finish. Here it comes. He is he needed Congress to delay while he's over there because he's using it as a bargaining chip. He's like, look, here's what I can do. I can flip the switch. If you don't give me the free trade agreement, I can flip the switch, and it's going to we want to ruin Russia's potential anyway. But guess what's going to happen to your price of gas if we start blowing up Syria? You're going to double. What do you want to do? This is his bargaining chip, John. And I think he might have to use it because the EU, they are so afraid of jumping out of the fat into the fire. For instance, in the Netherlands, they looked at all their just yesterday. I read the press reports on this. They read all of the Syrian evidence, and they came out and said, "We're not convinced. We're not convinced that Assad did that." Why would they say that? Could it be the €1 billion investment from Gazprom in the new terminal in Rotterdam? You think that has something to do with it? Of course it does. This is only about these two players who is going to deliver to the number one customer in the world. And this is a bargaining chip. The Russians don't give a crap if we bomb out Syria. They'll figure another way to get their gas out to the Mediterranean, but they will screw with Europe. They will screw with it if the free trade agreement happens. You watch, this is what it's about, the TTIP, the TAFTA.
Right. The Transatlantic Free Trade Agreement, which also includes a lot of other stuff, like sure. Monsanto.
Sure. Well, the GMOs, of course.
So there's a little tidbit in here I want to play, which is Carl Levin is an idiot clip. And this little tidbit in here, this piece of information, I thought was, I didn't know this before. You can tell me whether you knew it or not, but apparently it's the Russians who have been supplying Assad with the weapons, according to Levin.
Beside Assad's tanks. So those kind of weapons, it seems to me, can be safely provided to the vetted components of the Syrian opposition.
Secretary Kerry said today there would absolutely positively no way be boots on the ground. Is this, and that he would be open to this being included as part of the war authorization. Do you think that's a good idea to draw that line?
I do.
War authorization?
Because I think it's important that the American people know we're not going to get dragged into a civil war. That there are ways of taking action against the use of chemical weapons, which needs to be taken. If countries such as Syria and Iran understand that the transfer, for instance, of weapons of mass destruction or the use of weapons of mass destruction will precipitate a response on our part, because if those weapons are transferred, such as chemicals going to terrorist groups, they can end up attacking us. This is in our interest.
And Russia may do that, but they don't care. They're not going to go to war over this. And this is the only message I really have. There's not going to be a World War III. Stop listening to Alex Jones with all that bullshit. This is actually good. I hate to say it. Just from a meta perspective, if the president can pull this off, he may And I go back to you, John, where you said that, like the 49 gold rush, if we can have all this natural gas be the new gold, that it could save us from the financial demise that all this idiotic money printing and quantitative easing has built up over, the last almost half decade, that this would actually save everything. And the arrogance you're seeing is from Obama is like, I got to get this done. That it will, people will die, of course. But it is a strategy. It's just, I would prefer if the president just went, okay, look, here's what we need this thing with Europe, and we got to screw the Russians to go get our business.
Well, here's what's got me kind of concerned, which is that if they want, there's a lot of groupings of these chemical weapons throughout Syria, whether they were supplied by the Russians or not. And Levin and all these other guys, in fact, Levin goes on with another clip here where he talks about these being weapons of mass destruction, which is kind of it's bullcrap because gas is not a mass destruction item; it just kills people. But so they'll topple or screw up that regime, and then they will. What they claim they don't want, which is that the rebels would, let's say, take over because we're not giving them weaponry, according to the Blinken guy. That means that those rebels will end up with these supplies of these gases, of the chemical weapons, which is, I thought that's not what we don't want that to happen because it's easily transportable, as Levin says, they can be moved around real easy. They could bring a canister into Paris and drop it off the top of the Eiffel Tower. There's a lot of negative possibilities here, which I think is what we're going to end up running into, even though I would say that if your analysis of Obama's scheming is correct, and even though I might be optimistic, then Obama has to be one of the smartest presidents, in fact, that we've ever had, even though it seems to me that some of the stuff he does is naive.
Yes, John, that is the travesty, that Obama is probably the smartest president ever. That is what neither of us expected.
Well, I mean, this is assuming that this is all his doing, and it's not like, somebody at the CIA is scheduling this whole thing.
Yeah, well, I think this is... Well, actually, what's his...
Wait. When he was in... He just seems a little miffed all the time now. For a guy who's... You describe as self-confident. That he seemed irked. Are you running?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You sound great, honey. Don't worry.
So
no problems here. Yeah, here's what we've had a lot of technical issues. Why don't we? I think we have a short list of executive producers. We're already way past where we should be doing our opening credits. But we've gotten to a point where let's just thank some people and then refresh our brains and come back into where we think this is headed. How's that sound?
Yeah. I still have to hold on now because I had the thing open. The guy Jordan DeMoss gave us $466.72, and he'll be an executive producer, and he's in Hawaii, and he has an email that he sent.
Okay,
it was a long, lengthy one, so let me just look him up here.
Okay, and what I'll do is I will.
Here he is.
I will say in the morning to you, John C. DeVore.
Yeah, in the morning to you, Adam, and in the morning to all the. We used to call them boots on the ground, but now you've ruined it.
Yeah, no, I can't have boots on the ground because it angers me. How about
I don't know what to say. Now you've screwed up my whole pitch.
You can say boots on the ground because when you say boots on the ground, you know that you're not,
I'm talking about that
cavalier. You're not being cavalier.
Well, we got boots on the ground, subs in the water, feet in the air, and the days and nights out there. And the curious thing here is that the subs in the water guy is Jordan DeMoss.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, I think this was a great email that he sent us.
Yes, and you have to put him down because he's Sir Jordan, and he's now a baronet. So he sends a note, and I put him on the list. Eric never got this note. ITM from the sub under the water. I've been a 333 subscriber for the last 3 years. Donation, noagendanation.com shows that I have donated. It shows that he's donated $15.33.28. So he's made a drunken donation of $466.72 for this Thursday show to become a baronet. who makes his own beer, I would like to be the baronet of breweries.
Well, sure. But can you be that when you're a baronet? Don't you have to be a baron before you can get a brewery, or be any kind of protectorate?
I think it's fine.
Okay.
I don't think there's going to be a big demand for this barony.
Okay. You'd be surprised. We got a lot of home brewers in the club.
I believe the lands of breweries are small enough to still be considered a baronet. If you recall, my previous knighthood title was the Lord of the Admiralty.
Yes.
So please announce me as the Lord of the Admiralty and Baronet of the breweries.
He's pushing it.
Yeah, well, at least, yeah.
Lord of the Admiralty and Baronet of the breweries. All right, you got it. No problem. No problem.
Furthermore, as Lord of the Admiralty and Baronet of the breweries, this is a long title. I hereby issue an executive proclamation that all brewers, sailors, and Marines, who may take offense by this, by the way, since they operate as part of the Navy, aren't donating. That those that aren't donating are douchebags.
Douchebag.
Henceforth, every September will be Brewer, Sailor, and Marine Douchebag Awareness Month.
Wow, I don't know if it can fit in with all the other things we have to observe in the month of September, but okay, we'll see if we can get a presidential proclamation for it.
Since one of the guys on my ship just tested positive for coke, I probably shouldn't partake in the hookers and blow.
Whoops.
I suggest you add barrels of beer at the bar to the offerings of the new knights and dames of the round table. And finally, he says, plug for Eric. I'm awaiting the arrival of my famed United States Constitution replica, which is currently being produced by Eric the Shill, so it may hang high above my kegerator and challenge coins.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay, anyway.
Well, thank you very much, Lord Sir Jordan, Lord of the Admiralty, Baronet of the Breweries, for coming in. What an interesting number. Did you mention anything about why it was 466.72, or was that just...
I think so. It added up to
whatever he
looks
had.
like it adds up exactly to
to his knighthood. Okay, great,
to baronet.
Great.
Yeah, there's nothing special. Okay. So anyway, how do I sound? Am I breaking up left and right?
No, it's reasonable. The chat room had opted the idea of opening up a ping connection between your. I know. Well, you know what? Who knows? I mean, it can help guide the packets.
Apparently, yes. Guide dogs of ping.
The guide dogs of ping. Yeah.
Anyway, back to the spreadsheet. As I look at the ping thing, it's very hypnotic. Seeing the pings go by. Matthew Sluiter.
I think it's Slaughter. Yeah, that would be
Slaughter.
The Dutch name.
In Holland, 33377 is also, it says the town is Holland, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Coming in triple threes on the knees. Triple threes on the knees.
Nice.
33377.
Yeah. You see the sevens look like knees?
Oh, yeah.
Triple threes on the knees. Love that.
Well, maybe that'll catch on. Finally, donating on my birthday of all days to the best podcast in the universe. Would love to give a shot of karma to my brother Tim, just starting out anew in Vermont, and to my other brother Alex in his fledgling IT business. Don't need anything for myself. We're all screwed anyway. Keep up the good work, John and Adam. Best regards. Pronounced Sliter.
Sliter. Sorry. Formerly from Holland, now in Holland, Michigan, home of the best beaches in the universe. Well, here's the karma as requested. It's
You've got karma.
Obviously, some.
And by the way, his donation amounts to a breakdown for anniversary, Adam's birthday, and his son's Griffin, who we have on the list, by the way, his birthday coming up.
Nice.
Or actually, no, that's James. This spreadsheet, since Eric's been doing it, it's easy to go right to the next one because there's no line when you use the yellow coloring. We need thicker lines is what we need. This is Dame Joan in Morgantown, West Virginia, gave $255.54, and she broke it down with $255.54, 88 for John and Mimi's anniversary, 66.66 for our anniversary, 49 for Adam's birthday, 51 for her son's Griffin's 15th birthday.
Now, of course, if Dame Joni doesn't mind, you can always hand her son over to Matthew. I mean, we can just pass him around.
What are you implying?
That's because you had him congratulate.
Oh, I see what you're saying, because I had it mixed up.
Yes.
It's just one big yellow
trying to save you. It's not that bad. I mean, I
on my machine it is.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
There's no line between the two donations.
Okay. All right. Enough said. All right. It's good. That's okay, because that was it. Those were
that's
our
it. We
donations.
had 2 execs and 1 associate exec. I want to thank them for helping us on show 545. And we do need some additional help for the show 546 coming up on Sunday.
We do. Please go to
Dvorak.org/NA.
And maybe we just need some help just to get a dedicated line between us. I mean, this is a very, very problematic issue. Also want to thank, I kind of already thanked all of our human resources in the chat room there, noagendastream.com, noagendachat.net. Thank you to our artists. Thank you very much, Tommy Tunks. I think a new artist for us who brought us the album art for episode 544. I can't wait to see what we have on noagendaartgenerator.com later on today. Want to thank, producer Matthew Hamilton, who has registered. Now, I'm not quite sure how this works, but he actually sent an email explaining the .bit domain, which is .bit, and we have like noagenda.bit pointing to noagendashow.com, but also he's got independence.bit, self-reliance.bit, civilians.bit, lincoln.bit, rebellion, the shop, the shut-up-slave.bit. And the way this works is, and he's 16, by the way, is you mine, I guess you run the Namecoin software, so somehow I think you're in some kind of Bitcoin mining scheme, and then you get domain names as a goodie payoff. It's very interesting.
What?
Exactly. Namecoin is a decentralized currency, and you can redeem when you mine Namecoins. I guess you can redeem the domain names for it. And anyway, the .bit domain, we pretty much own it now, I guess.
Okay.
No idea how that works. And also a shout out to noagendafilms.com, back on the scene with the fall movie propaganda alert lineup. So make sure you check that out. Link in the show notes. noagendafilms.com.
That's good. I was worried that he was going to bail out on this because we've been recommending a lot of movies.
Yeah, no, he's back in the game. He had a couple of sick toddlers, he said, so he was preoccupied.
Well, I got another movie then. I think people should just see it if they've never seen it.
All right.
Eraserhead.
Oh, classic. Classic. I'm not quite sure why you're recommending it.
It just came to me.
Well, good work, John.
It's a disturbing film, that's why.
Hey, go out there and propagate our formula, will you?
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth. Whoa.
Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave.
Hey, man, just to bring us back into the whole thing, President Obama, as I am now, my theory is that this is all about the free trade agreement. He's using Congress as a delay tactic, and Syria is by itself a bargaining chip. And if you remove the whole New World Order, we're going to kill you to do anything to make it all work thing, then it seems like a pretty genius plan. Here's what was really disturbing to me in the make-believe world of television. I have a video here of one of these Swedish morning shows, and they're all very excited about the president and the first lady, and they were coming over to hang out in Sweden. And so, what do you do on a morning TV show when and you have like the full staff, and think kind of like Good Morning America, and you have your celebrities, and they're coming on. What would you do, to make to get everyone kind of into the whole vibe of the Obamas visiting?
You'd have Michelle come on and cook something.
Ooh, very close. They didn't have Michelle come on, but they were cooking something.
På onsdag så är det tänkt att president Barack Obama är på väg till Stockholm, och i sann presidentanda så gör vi denna söndag lite amerikansk brunch tillsammans med systrarna Eisenman. Nu håller vi på att förbereda något väldigt amerikanskt.
Yes, det är nog mest amerikanska man kan tänka sig.
Och det är macaroni and cheese.
Yeah. And then they go on to explain.
Inte den här, det finns en förpackning där det finns den här kända märket som är knallorange och...
You know what she's saying there, don't you?
She's talking about how great macaroni and cheese is. The mac and cheese. Cheap macaroni and cheap cheddar melted together.
Mac and cheese. That's exactly what she said. She said, this is the national dish of America. It's cheap macaroni and cheap cheddar cheese melted together. That's exactly what she was saying. How sad is it that is now our national dish?
It makes sense. It actually makes nothing but sense.
So here is further proof that this is about the gas companies, and this was a great flub by now Senator Levin. He's also a Democrat, yes, from the War Party, John Levin?
Yeah, and he's from New York, and he is the War Party representative of the day.
And he is he's on PBS, our national treasure, and he actually gives it all away in this one little clip.
I think we should authorize the use of force, and in order for it to be most effective, that means that we've got to do a couple things besides authorize it. We've got to help the Syrian people who are resisting Assad to have the weapons to fight for themselves. So far, certain weapons which would be very helpful in that respect have not been provided for them, and particularly in response to a chemical attack. If they had anti-tank weapons to go against the tanks which protected the launchers which launched the chemical weapons, for instance, that would show that this is not just an American fight, that this is a fight that the Syrian Free Army is right in the middle of and is willing to fight, but they need the weapons. We ought to help get those weapons to them. And secondly, it seems to me it's important that when we do strike, that we have other countries with us for it to be effective, and that includes a number of Arab countries. We were assured today there will be a number of countries that would join with us, and that's very important for the effectiveness of any action on our part.
What companies would be joining you in that effective action, Warmonger Levin? Would that be Exxon, Chevron, ConocoPhillips?
So I'm reminded of, I got this clip that's got nothing to do with Syria, but it is, we've talked about this on the show, and it's been discussed elsewhere, how people can't not tell the truth.
Yes, the human psyche wants to be truthful. It's hard to lie.
Yeah, and so it always comes, the truth always comes out some way, shape, or form by a flub or by overt stuff. Do you remember that we talked about this when, Penn State had that Jerry Sandusky pedophile.
Yeah, the pedo bear thing, yeah.
And there was a huge ring, and there's been an update because there's this new show on CBS called Sports 60 Minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Showtime, so they cuss a lot.
Oh,
And they had the two lawyers for the first time from that case discuss how they did it, how they beat the guy, because apparently Penn State in particular, and from this clip, this Sandusky clip I have, they talk about how the university, Pennsylvania State University itself, was totally involved with the obstruction of justice. In fact, the former president of the university and two other people are under indictment as we speak, and they're going to get busted for this because they were supporting it. So they talk a little bit about that at the beginning of this clip, and then they talk about how they finally managed to break the case wide open, and again, it's someone who could not tell the truth.
Also know that we've got Penn State involved, a massive multi-billion-dollar entity that at the time we don't realize, although we would come to realize it, may not be fully committed to disclosing what the reality is. Of course, we come to realize that they're actively obstructing our investigation. And
they're obstructing justice.
Yeah, and they had been for many years.
Did you two ever look at each other and go, I can understand if they're covering up recruiting violations, but this is serial sexual abuse of children that they are institutionally resisting efforts to uncover?
Many times. I mean, that happened over and over again. I mean, it's offensive. I mean, I just don't understand how you separate any of this from the context, which is children were being raped. I mean, this isn't hard. This isn't a difficult concept. This isn't a wishy-washy issue.
Fina and McGettigan felt there had to be more victims, but finding them and convincing them to testify appeared out of reach. Until, that is, an investigator discovered an old book Sandusky had written about himself, incredibly titled, Touched.
When I learned that the book was entitled Touch, when I started getting involved in the investigation, I said, I can't believe that he did that. I mean, he's telling people something, and he did. He really did.
And we looked at the pictures in the book. Some of them had names that we could identify the kids, some didn't. And then we would search and try to find somebody that could identify the picture of the kid in the book.
Touched is a roadmap, to a certain degree, for you guys in the beginning to try to find some of the victims.
It really was.
But now you have to convince them to come forward.
Wow. Yeah. Although our president, I think he actually is pretty good at it. You know, he is
of what?
At lying. I finally caught him in one, kind of.
Well, how did you catch him?
With a net.
The point is that most of these guys are good at lying, or so it seems.
Yeah.
And then as we listen to their clips, you hear them.
Yeah.
You hear revelations.
Indeed.
But what they're good is covering that part up.
There was a Swedish reporter who asked, did you see this question? About, well, I'll play the question for you.
Swedish National Television, Erika Bjärs. Mr. President, you've given very eloquent talks about the moral force of nonviolence. I was wondering, could you describe the dilemma to be a Nobel Peace Prize winner and getting ready to attack Syria?
I like this one, by the way, because this is what everyone always talks about.
Yeah, this question should be constantly asked.
I would refer you to the speech that I gave when I received the Nobel Prize. And I think I started the speech by saying that compared to previous recipients, I was certainly unworthy.
I'm sorry, Mr. President. This is one, maybe you weren't expecting this question. Why don't we listen to the beginning of his acceptance speech, shall we, John? It's kind of fun in retrospect.
Your Majesties, Your Royal Highnesses, distinguished members of the Norwegian Nobel Committee.
Don't you love it? Your Majesties, Your Highnesses. That's the new, that's pukey, man. New World Order bull crap right there.
Yeah, citizens of America and citizens of the world.
And he has a smirk on his face?
I receive this honor with deep gratitude.
Okay, deep gratitude, not quite saying he doesn't deserve it yet.
And great humility.
Oh, humility. Why?
It's an award that speaks to our highest aspirations. That for all the cruelty and hardship of our world, we are not mere prisoners of fate. Our actions matter.
Have you heard it yet, John? Has he heard anything that he's not worthy of?
No, I don't hear it there. I don't hear it. Maybe it's coming up.
Maybe.
And history in the direction of justice. And yet I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the considerable controversy that your generous decision has generated.
Okay, hold on a second. The controversy, because he's not worthy of it, I guess he's going to say, right? That would be what you'd expect him to say, because I'm not worthy of this.
In part, this is because I am
not worthy
at the beginning.
Oh.
And not the end of my labors on the world stage.
Oh.
Compared to some of the giants of history who have received this prize.
Okay, let me put myself in the lineup of the giants of history.
Schweitzer and King, Marshall, and Mandela.
Oh.
My accomplishments are slight.
I'm still not hearing the I don't deserve it.
And then there are the men and women around the world who've been jailed and beaten in the pursuit of justice.
In America.
Those who toil in humanitarian organizations to relieve suffering. The unrecognized millions whose quiet acts of courage and compassion inspire even the most hardened cynics. I cannot argue with those who find these men and women
some known, some obscure to all but those they help, to be far more deserving of this honor than I.
Oh, okay. Well, you kind of said it. You were anything but humble, sir.
Well, then he constantly does this. And he could probably make the argument by parsing that he did say exactly what, I just not those exact words.
Yeah, but he's usually better. When the whole red line thing, he was spot on. He's like, let me unpack your question. I didn't say it was a red line. I said there was a red line and I was going to change my calculus. That's what happened. That was good.
That's another buzzword that's showing up a lot that's bothering me.
What?
Calculus. And he uses it all the time.
Really?
My calculus. Yeah, I've heard it. You hear it a lot. And it keeps cropping up. So can you say my calculus? What does that even mean?
Well, it's the complex calculations only I can make as president of the best country in the universe.
Let's look at the definition of this word. I'm not sure. The brand of mathematics that deals with the finding and properties of derivatives and integrals of functions by methods originally based on the summation of infinitesimal differences. The two main types of differential calculus and integral calculus.
You lost me at calculus.
Now, the number 2 definition, and I'll give him a little credit for that, under logic, a particular method, actually mathematics and logic, a particular method of or system of calculation or reasoning.
Reasoning, yeah, that's probably where it's getting it from. Well, maybe I should just
say my thinking on the matter.
Because it sounds cool. It's like point of privilege. you got to use these things, man.
So there's a female senator from Nebraska. She's the one who brings out, and she's never been on TV before. She's kind of a squawker, and she's moaning and groaning, and she's the one who brings in the Russians, which has me skeptical about everything.
No U.S. boots on the ground in any kind of enterprise in Syria. Do you agree with that? Is that taking it too far?
I think the American people don't want to see boots on the ground. As I said, we've been in the conflicts in that region before. We're not ready to go back. We need to understand what the ramifications are. We can say no boots on the ground, but what if Assad uses chemical weapons again? How do we respond? It's happened 14 times. We're just responding now. The British Prime Minister has said this has happened 14 times. So why are we just responding now? That's a question that needs to be answered as well.
So there is, as you try to figure that out, why it didn't happen before, have you ruled out in your mind that it should happen now?
I haven't ruled out anything. We're learning more and more every day. We just heard from the Secretary of Defense, Secretary Hagel, today, that the Russians are supplying chemical weapons to Syria. We didn't know that before. I've gone through 2 conference calls, briefings. I went through a briefing with the Armed Services Committee this morning. We just heard that today. So what else don't we know? If the Russians are involved in this, are they supplying the Syrians with chemical weapons, and what consequences are we going to see from that action? How are they going to respond if we go in and attack Syria?
Wow, wait a minute. Is this part of the secret information they got, that the Russians are providing chemical weapons? Can this really be the true information they received?
I was thinking about this. There's 2 things that, in retrospect, when I made that clip, I didn't have your Taft theory in mind. And this actually, and I think the 14 attacks that took place before kind of plays into your theory perfectly, because the question is, he's been doing it all along. Why now? Which makes sense if we were thinking about the
TAFTA and the G20 and the
G20.
Right.
But this thing about the Russians, which here's what the problem I have with that, because I've never heard this before.
No,
it came from Hagel's mouth. And I was thinking about this. Hagel is possibly a pathological liar.
Well, yeah.
I'm always on the lookout for pathological liars.
Did you see him at I did not clip anything. There was a I think it was on C-SPAN, a video of him, and he was at an Air Force base with, it might have been Marines, and he's out on the tarmac, and he's trying to get everyone to go, hooah! And like no one's doing it. And they're just like ignoring him, like where the teacher's trying to get you to to participate. But
you go to a concert and they want you to sing,
right? Yeah, right. But he was not able to get it was the weirdest thing, and I think that this guy he may be just a hologram. I don't know if the guy if he even exists, but you hear him talk, and you're like, oh, and he's a yes man. You can hear him go, he's a moron. But we already when he was being confirmed in the Senate, remember when he screwed up his answer and he went back later and said like, what I really meant is we love Israel, whatever the hell he said that was wrong, and I think we assessed him right then as just a moron who was meant to get us into trouble. But the Russians supplying the chemical weapons, nah, the whole chemical weapons thing, that's the red herring. I think you were right, and I couldn't sleep last night for at least half an hour. I'm thinking, God damn, John is right. The whole idea is to just ruin all of the Middle East, ruin North Africa, just ruin it. Maybe we can get a pipeline going from Qatar through, up through Syria into Turkey. But I think
it's a reboot.
Yeah, I mean, let's just make it all flat and dirty and dusty and horrible. And the only thing we have to look out for is so-called pirates, as we have our ships of gas going over to Europe and going over to Japan. That's the only thing really we have to worry about. And of course, there could be pirates is a big word, right? That could be the Russians. It could be anybody. But it's so simple, and all of this. And by the way, look what has been achieved with this huge Syria thing. No one's talking about the NSA anymore. No one's talking about Snowden. No, and it's all off the table. So it's beautiful. The thing I'm worried about, if anything, is this is going to calm down a bit. We're not, they're going to have to start distracting us because they may not want to do anything. If we get the deal, then maybe we don't want to make such a big show of ruining Syria. We'll do it in another way.
Well, I mean, if you look at the videos from that area, it's pretty ruined.
Yeah,
except Damascus itself is in good shape, and that has to be the last to go. So when is the summit? What's the date on it?
It's now. It's starting now. I think it starts today.
Because we do still have our 6-week cycle with the upcoming September 11th.
And you know what else is annoying? That Bashar al-Assad, born in 1965 on September 11th, that's also kind of annoying. It's one of these annoying things that you pick up along the way. Like, really? Does it have to be like that?
Okay, here we go. So here's the G20. There's a web page for people to go to. It's g20.org. Putin has got to be beside himself on this whole thing. I like him calling out Kerry as a liar.
Oh yeah,
but who he may be a pathological liar too. I mean, when he ran for president, I think they were busting him on some of his assertions that were bullcrap.
How about here? Check this out. This is so. Here's the official stance. So I think this is what we're hearing from Heiko Hermann, who is, of course, the president of the United States of Europe. Here's kind of his vibe on this whole Syria thing, which is a little different than what you might want to hear if you're President Obama, but maybe this is the whole reason why we're doing it.
Also say a few words on Syria. In the face of this cynical use of weapons of mass destruction, the international community cannot remain idle. We have to show that such crimes are unacceptable and will not be tolerated, to show that there can be no impunity, and to prevent creating a dreadful precedent for the use of chemical weapons in Syria again or elsewhere.
Okay, so far so good.
We hope a preliminary report of this first investigation could be released as soon as possible. We urge the UN Security Council to unite in its efforts to prevent any further chemical attack. To that effect, we encourage the UN Security Council to fulfill its responsibilities in line with international law and take all initiatives to achieve this goal. Finally, there is no military solution to the Syrian conflict.
Oh, whoa. Hold on a second. No. Now, I think he has to say that because if just take my theory. If you take my theory that it's all about the gas, and by the way, how cruelly funny is it that it's about gas and they're actually using sarin gas? Maybe it's just code.
Ironic.
Right? We'll use some gas on them.
By the way, thinking about it, I would we're going to stay with your theory. We're going to assume that this whole thing is just to get some gas out of the country, which is a depressed market.
Yes,
it needs, hurting us.
It needs to go up to $8 or $9, and we'd still
it's
be
horrible.
groovy.
It's $3.90 or $3.80 or some crazy thing. Yeah. So anyway, we'll stick with this. I like the theory because it does account for a lot of things, and it would also account for the following: since the British are giving all this, we're so independent, we voted. If Obama had, and obviously involved in this would be the Brits. So Cameron would agree or actually help submarine it in Parliament. He would push it because he has to look good. Mm-hmm. Oh, we got to do something, and then it would get voted out.
Exactly.
As part of the bigger scheme.
Yes.
So the Brits are still, I know what you do, like all you Brits are still our lapdogs.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
We got no donations coming in from the UK anymore.
Uh-huh.
But that would, because why would they not be our lapdogs? They've been our lapdogs since Tony Blair and before.
And I have a couple interesting. Can you turn your speakers down just a tad, John? It's because of the mumble. It's coming back. News out of the UK: a quarter of the inhabitants of the Isle of Britannia, known as Gitmo Nation East, 25%. Suffered unbearable cold during the winter to save money on heating costs.
Right, and now with global warming causing all these snowstorms.
It's getting worse. And then we have, here is Gazprom and GasUnie, fine Dutch company, have signed a letter of intent to explore the potential expansion of the Nord Stream pipeline to Britain. So, if you are running a country and your people are cold and you know that the global cooling is coming, you don't want to be holding to one party. You want to have...
No, you have to have second sources.
You gotta, and Putin is famous for turning it off in the winter. Like, oh, really? I think I'm going to turn off this pipeline. He's famous for this.
If we could get gas over there somehow, Putin would have to lower the prices.
Well,
Gazprom would have to lower the prices. And which would be a huge benefit.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, it would pump up the economy of Europe.
Yes.
It would be a win. Yeah, it'd be great.
So here's legislation in Congress. This is House Resolution. House Resolution 2771. Let me see who introduced this thing. Let me get the... this is the... this act may be cited as the Expedite Our Economy Act of 2013. This is introduced by Mr. Poe of Texas for himself, Mr. Carter, and Mr. Olson. And the intention of this bill is to repeal the requirements under the Natural Gas Act for obtaining authorization for the exportation of natural gas. Gee. That would be kind of handy to have this bill pass, wouldn't it? And then have the
that's
free,
a no-brainer.
because we don't have a free trade agreement with Europe. I thought it was like, don't we have that? No,
we've never had a free trade agreement with Europe.
No, and this is supposed to be the. Well, people don't know that. People think we're buddies with Europe, aren't we? No, apparently not. I had no idea. I thought we had a complete free trade agreement. Everything was copacetic.
I was having little tips. The cheese tiff, for example, the wine tiff. There's always been one or another.
Right.
Yeah, you can't have our cheese without paying extra.
It's extra stinky.
The reason for free trade agreements is to reduce tariffs to zero.
Right.
So there's no tariff, so you can just ship stuff over there, as fast as you can.
Right. No tax.
Right.
Right. But even so, it's like 3%. I mean, most of it's very low. But this is more about, the way I see it is, if we have that, then it removes the whole reason, if we have the FTA, then it removes the whole exportation problem. So they're trying to attack it in multiple ways. I'm looking at the G20. So the G20 officially starts today. No, yesterday. What's today, the 5th? No, today. St. Petersburg, key objective, continuing the instability in financial markets. Let's just think about that. Let's analyze this for a second, John. If this happens, the questions are, 1, what does it do for the United States? 2, what does it do for the United States of Europe? And 3, how can we profit from it financially, you and I personally?
Well, we could invest in some international banks.
Yeah.
There's actually, for us, and I think the general public, we just have to live with the money profits that plow back into the economy. I don't think that we can get anything else out of this.
There's no stock week. I guess not. It's such a long game and such big money.
Well, actually, maybe Horowitz would have an idea, because I've noticed this working with him. Because I've invested on and off for years.
And how's that worked out for you? Are you rich yet?
No, of course not. And the reason is because when somebody's in it full time and that's all they do, they start thinking differently.
Right.
And they'll think about 3 layers down. So you have, this is going to happen, and that's going to affect this company, and this company. But the real beneficiary is this company 3 or 4 layers down, which makes all the valves for a certain type of pipe.
So we'd have to look at some company that makes something because these are going to be super mega tankers that have to carry this stuff.
It could be welding sticks for all we know.
Hey, welding sticks. Son, it used to be plastics. Now it's welding sticks. Okay, ask Horowitz and we'll pass it on. I think we should all be trying to benefit from this. But yes, and this will be the last thing I'm going to say about it. I think it's a genius plan.
I don't see any holes in your logic on this one.
And usually you do.
Except for the gas getting loose. So I'm wondering whether they're even going to overthrow Assad. Or maybe, I was thinking about this a couple of times. If they're going to they're going to launch 80 missiles or whatever onto the Syrians.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking this possibility. What are they going to bomb? They keep making a big point. We're only going to bomb for one day.
The airport.
I think they probably drop a couple on the airport. But what about some pipelines and some facilities, some China things, some Russian stuff?
Yeah. Oh, that's all
blow
that
up
is.
some.
Yeah, no, it can only be pipelines.
So you blow up
and
you
infrastructure.
take the pipeline out.
Yeah. But this is why I think, again, it's a double whammy. Because, if the pipelines get taken out, then automatically gas prices go up. I mean, already we're seeing petroleum products price increase. Just imagine you're sitting in Europe, you're paying $15 per million BTUs, and all of a sudden it's going to 20. And guess what? It's September. We are going into autumn and then winter. This could be a very, very cold, expensive winter for Europe.
Well, which brings me to the price of oil.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, natural gas right now is down to $3.59, down to
this is horrible
%. It's horrible. But the price of crude oil is up to $108. Crude oil should be around $40, no matter what anyone likes to believe.
Right.
It averages $40 over the long haul, and it gets as low as 25. It's 108.
Yeah. So that's groovy.
Eric Schmidt, I'm looking at a financial site. Eric Schmidt and Sergey have been taking out, just this recently, August 28th, Schmidt took out $73 million, and Brin took out $71 million from the company.
Yeah, that's what you do when October
Yeah, I know.
is
You take it off the table, it's called. But Schmidt has been consistently doing this. Let me take I don't know we shouldn't be talking tech on this show, but we can.
Why? Who says we can't do that? We can do that.
I don't know. I'm just saying. So here it is. Let's take a look. He sold $11 million on the 28th. Then he sold $73 million on the same day. 2 transactions, I guess. Then he sold $6 million. Then he sold $54 million. Then he sold $11 million. Then he sold $17 million. Then he sold $52 more million. In July, he sold $4 million, $4 million, $68 million. He's got what is this leftover? He's just selling like crazy.
Yeah.
He's been selling like crazy since February 22nd, when he sold $20 million.
Cash is king, baby. Cash is king. He knows what's coming. He sees it. He sees it happening.
He's definitely got a lot of cash on hand.
Oh, this is what you do when you look. September is always a bad month for the markets, and it's a hedge. You got October coming up. What are you going to want to do if it comes tumbling down and we don't get Obama doesn't get his stuff done in Europe? It all starts to fall apart. We've got nothing.
Yeah, and then they're going to put Larry Summers in charge, which will trigger the market to collapse in October.
Yeah, I'm rooting for this FTA. By the way, I'm all in on it. I think I want it to happen. I generally just want people to live a happy life. And, screw it if your faucet's on fire. Fracking rocks. This is good. Who cares if your water is explosive? What else are you going to do?
Well, most of the stuff North Dakota. Nobody cares.
Yeah, well, but Texas is an interesting state because this is where it's all going to be shipped from. This is headquarters of this stuff. We're going to have the big storage
Wasn't
tanks.
it Texas? Wasn't it that some area down there that's a bottleneck that was exploited in the movie that Rubicon?
Oh, yes.
At the end of the movie?
Interesting. Yeah. At the end of the series. Yeah, the shipping lane or whatever.
Right.
Well, that
people who haven't seen this in our movie guys should make sure that episodes people go get it from Amazon. If you have Prime, you get it free. It's a good story. It teaches you a little bit of something.
And meanwhile, there is other stuff going on in the world, ladies and gentlemen, and it's back.
The War on Chicken.
Hey, when you want to wage war on somebody, what you need is a study. And whether you're doing a study on chemical weapons or whether you're doing a study on the future of families, which was a study commissioned by PETA, known as the People's Ethical Treatment of Animals, let me tell you what's going on. The latest scientific evidence, John, evidence.
The science is in.
Shows that sons of pregnant women who consume chicken are more likely to have a smaller penis.
What?
Yes, if you are pregnant and you eat chicken, specifically chicken wings, according to the study, your unborn male child is more likely to have a small penis.
How does that explain the Japanese?
Did they eat a lot of chicken?
No, that's the point.
I'm just telling you the news.
Well, that's the war on chicken, I think. Yeah, I think you might be right. Okay, if that's the best you can do. I got a better one.
This is published in Women's Health magazine, by the way.
They're just trying to kill chicken sales. They want to eat more beef.
Yes, war on chicken.
So, one of our listeners sent this, or one of our producers sent this in, and I clipped from it. In Australia, of course, the elections are coming up, and you're going to have some commentary about it.
I have the same. I wonder what you clipped from it. You have a
I clipped where they just started kind of kvetching.
I did like maybe I have a better clip because I edited the clip, and it's shorter.
Oh, I don't think that it needed editing.
Well, you didn't have the whole thing with the guy, did you? There's only two pieces.
No. I just got the part. No. It takes 3 minutes before they start to bicker.
I have it cut down to 2 clips, 1:21 and 52 seconds. But okay, I'll go with you.
Well, my clip has got more continuity.
You don't even know
Mainly
what I have.
because this is Clive Palmer, who's of the Palmer United Party.
And this is the guy who was bitching about Greenpeace being run by the Rockefeller Foundation. Remember that?
Yeah. He's a character. He's almost a billionaire. He's in the mineral business, and he's one of these colorful guys they have in Australia. We have very few of these people. Donald Trump comes the closest. So he gets into a beef with the guy on the Today Show, who I believe, by the way, the Today Show there is so much different than our Today Show. They're always they're a little more. I think they're more aggressive as interviewers.
Well, not only that, but what I found funny in this clip, and a number of people sent this to us. At the end, they're like, "Hey, that was fun sparring with you. Yeah, okay, all right, buddy, take care." And they're all like, "Good."
Yeah, I know. They enjoy this sort of thing. In the United States, everyone gets offended.
Yeah. And, well, it's a scandal because we know how to promote stuff. Can you believe what Donald
the rest
Trump
of it's
said?
all it's all fixed.
Yeah.
It's all rigged.
Exactly.
So this is unrehearsed. So they get into a little beef here, and he keeps telling the guy to bring up his game. And it starts with a discussion over the free. He's using his workers from his various corporations to man some booths at an event for free, not paying them. And then he wants to talk about other things, including the revelation that
Don't say it. Let's just listen
yourself.
to it. It's funny.
All right, you've got the opportunity.
The serious side of it is that some workers say they fear for...
All right, now I'm going to play my opening clip first because I think the setup was important, what he said about Murdoch.
It's now considered an outside chance to pick up a seat in the Senate. The leader of the party, Clive Palmer, joins me now from the Sunshine Coast.
So he's talking about the fact that he may pick one Senate seat because that's what the polls indicate.
Beautiful Sunshine Coast. Clive, good morning to you. How confident are you of that one Senate seat?
I'm not very confident at all, Carl. We're looking for about 10 Senate seats across Australia. That's what our polls are telling us. You're just reading the rubbish that Rupert Murdoch puts out. He owns News Poll, he owns Galaxy Poll, and he said he's going to support Tony Abbott as Prime Minister. He's sworn an oath of allegiance to a foreign country. He's not an Australian citizen. He sends his apparatchiks out here who are also not Australian citizens to tell his editors what to write, sacks the editor of the Courier Mail and 20 journalists throughout Australia. We've got 150 candidates in every state of the Commonwealth ready to go, and people realise that the current two alternatives are hopeless. Rudd's got a disaffection rating of 56%. Tony Abbott's got 48%. So let's get something going by Australians for a while. Kevin Rudd brought over Obama's media team.
I thought that was interesting. So he's accusing Murdoch of, first of all, rigging the polls because he owns the polls. He's essentially defected from Australia. True, he's become an American citizen. He says he's put in editors who are not Australians into writing all of the propaganda, and he's helped bring over Obama's media team to help Kevin Rudd.
Yeah,
I thought that was interesting.
It was interesting, but I believe that these American consultants have long since gone to Australia to promote various individuals. They're hired guns. They get hired. I don't think it was really anything overtly done by us as a country.
Okay.
But anyway, so that was good. I should have probably put that in. But all I would like was the bickering. Sorry.
Here we go.
All right, you've got the opportunity.
The serious side of it is that some workers say they fear for their jobs in this instance. Will they be sacked if they don't work in the booth?
Well, that's their problem. I fear for Australia with Kevin Rudd and Tony Abbott about to take $40 billion off the budget.
No, but if workers fear for their jobs, it takes it into a whole different category.
Come on, Carl. Lift your game, mate. Get into a national thing. Don't get down there at the little local issues.
They're your employees.
You're bigger than that.
There are your employees if they fear for their job.
Look, if I've done something illegal, go to the police, mate. But talk about some decent stuff on your program and your ratings will go through the floor.
Do you expect people to work this for free this Saturday?
I can predict it coming, John. People emailing us, hey, man, with your podcast, lift your game. You guys are sucking on that podcast. Lift your game, mate.
Yeah, I think all Australians will vote freely. I don't want to pay anyone to vote, Carl. Come on, get serious, will you?
All right, the front page of the Australian. The front page of the Australian hasn't missed today. I'm sure you're aware of Hedley Thomas, very well respected Hedley Thomas writing. He says today.
Hedley Thomas is like black caviar with a broken leg.
What does that mean?
Did he say black caviar with a broken?
It's either black or bad, but I think it was black caviar with a broken leg.
Hold on, black.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I'm looking it up. Black caviar with a broken leg. This is a true Australianism, if I've ever heard one. Top Philly. Oh, black caviar is a horse.
Oh, that's
I'm surprised you didn't know this, John.
I am too, now that you mention it.
Unbeaten Philly black caviar. Okay, you look into that and we'll listen to the rest.
Yeah, go.
He's just working for Rupert because he doesn't want to get the sack. The Australian's not a newspaper. It's all right. Rupert's plaything. Have a look at the Telegraph. Have a look at all the editorials.
Can you answer this accusation? Can you answer some of these accusations, though? Does running a viable soccer club on the...
I don't answer any accusation.
What? Sorry?
I don't answer anything from Hedley Thomas, sorry. He's just an apparatchik of Rupert Murdoch in New York.
This is a great word, apparatchik. I think apparatchik is isn't that like the Russian
Yeah, it's a Russian stooge.
But the way he says it sounds like an Indian squaw, an apparatchik. Something the way he says it is weird.
It's a good word.
Rupert Murdoch's wife, Wendy Dung, is a Chinese spy.
Yay.
And that's been right across the world. She's been spying on Rupert for years, giving money back to Chinese intelligence. Read the truth about it.
Clive,
she was trained in southern China.
Clive,
no, I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth. Wendy Dung is a Chinese spy. That's why Rupert Murdoch got rid of her. And that's the truth. And this guy wants to control Australian politics.
You're standing up for Rupert now.
Come on. No, he wants to control what you think. Have a look at your newspapers. That's what he wants to do. And Kevin Rudd brings over Obama's team to...
Now they're just getting back into it. I thought that was phenomenal. And there is some reporting on this, albeit, sketchy. But I'm down with it.
It makes sense.
You look at her, and you look at her history, where because she did kind of come out of nowhere. You just look at her, that she is riding that Rupert, or was riding that Rupert rampant. And I can just see the guy go, oh, I don't care, whatever.
At least I'm having some fun here.
So we need a new jingle.
George Clooney is a spy.
And so is Rupert's wife. Totally.
Yeah, she actually, we looked at the wife of this character, Blinken.
Yeah.
She actually looks like her.
Yeah.
Only she's Chinese. She's a Chinese version.
Right. I think that's funny. I think, I just, how come we can't have that? How come we are the land of the free, home of the brave, and we have all this free speech. But what goes on in Australia on television, that is free speech, mate. I like it.
They're
I like it.
Much more hilarious than what we have. Anyway, if you play the rest of the clip, he also bring up your game again.
I already dropped the clip.
Yeah, it's okay. I do have one little piece of local news I want to play, just to let you know why California is going broke. Play the new bridge opens.
Okay. Oh, yes, I've heard about this thing. Yes, here we go.
The largest self-anchored suspension bridge in the world opened for business in San Francisco today. Vehicles began crossing the new section of the San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge, some 6 years behind schedule. The span cost $6 billion, 5 times more than its original budget.
How much?
There you go.
How much more than its original budget?
5x.
Wow.
6 years behind schedule, 5 times the budget. Piece of crap.
And isn't it all Chinese steel?
Yeah, it's all Chinese. It's all the money went to China.
Nice. No, excellent. Good work.
So we got the first teaser, and it's going to be coming up on Saturday. I'm going to make sure to watch it. The new PBS NewsHour, the thing that Bill Gates and the Gates Foundation went into.
To recap, the Gates Foundation. So the Gates Foundation came into the PBS NewsHour and brought in several $1 million on per annum, as long as they would do a medical update, a science segment. And of course, that's when the NewsHour started, covering Africa and basically anything the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation wanted them to cover. And it's not just me saying this. You can read about this in the post-mortem of the PBS NewsHour show. And then, essentially they went, well, we want to hip it up a bit, because this is what always happens. I've seen it happen with nonprofits, where you have like a big, a nonprofit will have a fundraising event, and you have the top fundraiser probably has I am generalizing, has a trophy wife. And the trophy wife is like, we have to hip it up, honey. We have to make it look a little better. And then essentially the big donor says, well, look, it's like my wife over here, the Chinese spy. She wants to, let her organize the gala. And that is how things start to suck. So they said, we are not going to put any more money into the NewsHour because it's boring.
Yeah, they wanted to sex it up. They did make some changes. They colorized the backgrounds a little bit instead of being the boring blue, and they make Judy Woodruff, Blondie, more colorful clothes. And that's about it.
Really? This is the promo?
Well, this is the promo for this weekend show, which they insisted on doing. And the theory is that they're going to test market the weekend show with this guy's name I can never pronounce, but he's the good-looking multi-culty guy. Mm-hmm. And he is going to do a jazzier version of the weekday show, and then I believe they're going to roll out the weekend show as the show eventually.
So this is the
promo of the weekend show that Judy Woodruff announced on yesterday's show.
And that's the News Hour for tonight. But before we go, a reminder. We have good news if you're used to watching the PBS News Hour Monday through Friday. Starting this weekend, you can find us Saturdays and Sundays as well. PBS News Hour Weekend premieres this Saturday, September 7th. Join Hari Srinivasan for a 30-minute look at the top news stories with the same in-depth, independent coverage you've come to expect from the News Hour. That's PBS News Hour Weekend, premiering right here this Saturday. Check your local listings. I'm Judy Woodruff.
Hello. Yeah, hello. This is Bill Gates. Yeah. We can't pronounce the Harley Kalugalagi's name. You know, the new guy, the multi-culty guy? We need him to change his name.
Okay.
You watch.
Could be.
They're going to fire him.
It's possible.
Yeah, get rid of him.
I don't know why I didn't change his name and make it more easy for people.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this will be the beginning of the end for the News Hour, which is kind of a shame because they do actually cover the news. They bring people on and they chat with them, and most of the time the guests are lame. It doesn't contribute anything, but at least they do something. They just don't rattle off a bunch of little short snippets.
Right.
Anyway, that's your update for the day.
All right, I have a new jingle, which hopefully I'll be able to use sometime in November. Well, of course, now it's failing to play. Here we go.
It's another installment of Dinner with the Obots.
That's right, Dinner with the Obots. And I got an email regarding the most recent dinner. I thought maybe I'd share it with the group.
Yes.
This is from producer Drew on liberal protests. Because, I was complaining that there didn't seem to be much of a protesteral vibe going on at all. So your words about American, particularly progressive apathy made me think you'd appreciate an account of an event, which I don't think made any press anywhere. About a month ago, another one of these countrywide email list organized protests with speakers and advanced reservations went down, so I decided to see how the San Francisco hippies were taking their glorious leader's betrayal. And also I wanted to hear Daniel Ellsberg speak, who apparently was at the protest. Are you familiar with this protest, John? There was some protest?
No, I don't get it's like one of those things I've been taken off the mailing list.
Oh, because this was, it's in San Francisco. It's your backyard.
Yeah, I would have gone.
You should know. The first thing I noticed when I showed up was a guy with a clipboard asking people to please give them their names and email addresses. This at a privacy rally. That is pretty good. There was even a suspiciously foppish Brit telling everyone through a giant voice system, "I think you can trust these guys." And everybody laughed. It's the one thing I don't have a recording of that I wish I did. Well, the speakers ended up sucking. This horrible woman, whose only claim to fame was having Eric Schwartz for a client, until yak he wasn't anymore, to neurally program the very white crowd with facts. Her big finish was threatening to vote Pelosi out. Then a documentary filmmaker was very nervous. The whistleblower from AT&T basically said a lot of "I told you so," and Ellsberg repeatedly propagated the myth you debunked regarding the president's plane being forced down. Very surreal. After that, the protest was underway. First, the aforementioned British person started handing out whistles to the assembled crowd.
Ooh, nice.
This made us all honorary whistleblowers.
Oh, I thought they were going to use it like they do in Europe, where they just blow on these whistles.
Yeah, no, you're a whistleblower if you're blowing on the whistle.
Oh, please.
Down from the public square we marched along the street, but not in it, of course, blowing our whistles and chanting our chants. These were also led by the Brit on the megaphone, which was a huge mistake. He just did not have the voice for it. Making matters worse, I don't know who actually came up with the slogans, but a few highlights include 2, 4, 6, 8. This is worse than Watergate. And hey, hey, NSA, stop your spying. Go away. No secret laws, no secret courts, no secret surveillance. And my favorite, 1984, no more cutting stuff. We tramped right down on the sidewalk, actually stopping for the effing traffic lights, if you can believe it. Who the hell stops at traffic lights in San Francisco anyway? We get down to Pelosi's office, and it's closed because it's Sunday. This obviously could not have escaped the notice of the organizers of the protest, but they held it there anyway. They left a giant poster board for people to write their comments on, promised to hand-deliver it to her in the morning, and that was it. Protest completed. Everybody time to go home. And then, one last thing. They had everyone take out their cell phones in order to take down Pelosi's D.C. office number so that they could then call her the next day. What a bunch of retards. And that is the liberal protest, the level of liberal protest we're seeing.
I missed it.
You could have been a part of it, John. You could have been.
Probably not. I think it was on Sunday. We did a show, and the bridge was still closed. So
Adam just read his email on the No Agenda show.
Well, I got a...
Sorry.
Whoops, no. I got an email before we go into the donation segment that came in from one of our... I'm not going to say who it is because I didn't get permission to say who it is, but it's one of our better producers.
Mm-hmm.
I've been watching these pressers with Maria Harf.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, I know the email you talk of. You speaketh of, yes. Yes. He sent us a nice collage.
It's a very funny email. Thank you so much for turning me on to that. New drinking game. Every time she says, broadly speaking, you have to take a shot. If she could stop talking for long enough, I would fuck her. They put her in there because they need someone that will speak in a really confusing way and argue semantics ad nauseum. And at the end of the day, she's not really said anything. And if she does screw up and say something, it's wrapped in so much ridiculousness, you can't trust it. She is perfect. She has a job for life.
Yeah, I agree. I think she is perfect.
I think she is. Now that I read this letter, I think she is perfect. We criticize her for being incompetent, but perhaps that's exactly what she's supposed to be doing.
And he sent us a collage of her, like 6 or 7 different outfits, and like she has something weirdly attractive about her, doesn't she?
Yeah, it's some of her looks.
Yeah.
So the look that she puts on at the State Department with the school marm glasses and the stupid hairdo, I think she's unattractive. But then if you look at some of her other looks that she's done, she looks pretty good. So this whole thing is rigged.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda. In the morning.
Read the first donation, which has no note, and then I'll go get the note for the second donation.
I may have the note. What do you have? What do we have here? I have John Donovan's note, I believe. I think I have everything. Yeah. Let me just double check because there was emails to find. No, I don't.
I looked. I did not see a John Donovan note.
No,
but John Donovan came in with $188.66.
I don't have one. I have the Jordan DeMoss note, which we had. And
right, we did that one.
Yeah, okay. No, I don't.
Okay, well, we can't find a note for you, John. But Chad Biederman did send in a typewritten letter. In the morning, Armand and Javier. Might read like a drunk letter, but I'm not drunk. Wanted to thank you two for the karma you gave me a couple of years ago for my cat, Mr. Fokker.
Oh, yes.
At the time, I seriously thought I was going to have to put him down. But thanks to No Agenda Karma, I found a vet who found out what was wrong with him.
Oh.
He's still happy and healthy to this day.
Really?
Well, as happy as my house cat can ever be, at least.
Oh.
Had been doing the $4 a week donation for a while, but had been thinking about donating more for a while now. These things motivated me to get off my butt. 1, seconds before Adam played jingles of his choice on 541, I thought to myself, I haven't heard the weekly hooker report anymore. Imagine my surprise when Adam immediately played the obscure jingle I just thought of. Obviously a sign for me to write my check.
Interesting that there are people who actually think about these things. Imagine my surprise.
Yes. Listening to the show 542 right after 541, And like another listener, I didn't want to be mistaken as French because I didn't donate. Who likes the French? Nobody.
Nobody. No, they're cheap.
The donation drop-off likely caused by the spam filtering changes by Google and Yahoo. I use Yahoo Mail, but I have steadily received the No Agenda newsletters in my inbox, despite your address not being included in my contacts list. Go figure. I'm one of the lucky ones. I have, however, noticed that the Mark Maron WTF newsletters are being dumped in my spam folder. So there's definitely something going on. And then he goes on with some other notes.
The Mark Maron podcast, by the way, is high on the Obama bots list.
Oh, is it?
Yes, it is a huge.
So Maron,
what
is he an Obama bot?
I don't know if he is, but I know that this is seen as a fantastic, hilarious podcast.
Anyway, Chad Biederman came in with $120 from Round Lake, Illinois. Okay, also on the list, we got Andrew Green, $100 from London, England. Ivo Blom.
Yeah, Ivo Blom.
Ivo Bloom.
Blom. He had a note, and Eric told me to find the note. Here's what I found. Ivo says, I've been donating for quite some time now, $5 a month. As reality hit me, that is only €3.88. That was too much of a steal for all the work you gents put into the best podcast in the universe, so I've decided to up the plan to $11.11. The show helps me through my daily commute, gives me twice a day a moment of quality time for myself. This in all hectic of the busy sales job and birth 13 months ago of the biggest joy in my life are human resource Liam Kick. The extra today is a big extra thank you also for the super fast free Wi-Fi at Schiphol Airport. Oh, thank you very much. And he says, dikke knuffel for Miss Mickey, Mimi, and yourselves from all of us. So make sure you give Mimi a dikke knuffel.
I'll do that.
I bet you will.
And then next on the list is Gregory Lawrence.
69, dudes!
Wow, we dropped down to the Swazelnuffs quick. Today's list. Oops.
Yes, went quick, went fast. I'm sitting at the airport bar, one of 7 people in the U.S. watching CNN who is showing the House and Armed Services Committee asking John F. Kerry questions about Syria. And that's all he's got to say because there's no end to the sentence. Can you please tell us that Okay. Anyway, Greg, I don't know why that didn't come through. Andrew Terry in Brackley, North Hampshire, UK. Jost Abreu in Lisbon, Portugal. He also has a birthday thing coming up. The Grand Duke, Stephen Pelsmacher.
Hold on a second. Wow. I was not prepared for this. As you know, he is our top patron.
My lords, dames, knights, slaves, and elites, please be upstanding for another donation from the Grand Duke von Pelsmacher.
Jaris Corporation in Arlington, Virginia. We need more money from Arlington, Virginia. Wink, wink. Sam Menner in Box Hill, South Victoria. And finally, Sir Brian Barrow in Wootton Bassett.
Oops.
As a matter of fact.
And is that the last one?
That is, yes, indeed it is.
69,
that was it.
69, dudes!
And then we have Mac Tank, who came with 6900. And then finally we have a bunch of 6666ers.
For our 6th anniversary coming up, October 26th,
anniversary coming up. And we are looking forward to getting everyone on board on this little 6666 meme. Hi, that's Maura Carlos in Hong Kong. Hi, Hilia Diosarin in Coral Springs, Florida. Simon Oxtoby in Fairfield, Queensland, Australia. Esther O'Neilly, I guess it's O'Neilly, in Hong Kong again.
Interesting.
Okay, Julie from this is Julie from Hong Kong, but it comes in as Esther. So she's Julie from Hong Kong.
Makes so much sense.
Well, it makes sense to the people at PayPal who won't update anything, by the way. Anonymous from Maryland. Good. They're all wishing us happy 6 more. John Huzzar in Walnut Creek, California. Todd Creamer in Watsonville, California. Says more than I pay for Sirius Radio, but better content.
Yeah.
We'll give him karma at the end. Wiley Harp, Salt Lake City, Utah. Sir Pate Snakes in Amsterdam.
Yes.
Pista Haidu. Okay, this one you're going to have to help me. Pista Haidu from Vorendal.
Well, I got the Vorendal, which is the Netherlands, but Pista Haidu is not a Dutch name.
Not a Dutch name.
Not a Dutch name at all. In the morning, guys, look at all your newsletters. I said old school Pop 3. Wow, that is old school. Please keep hitting it in the mouth. Yeah, you got it. Thank you very much, Pista.
Anonymous from Leechburg, Pennsylvania. Simon Reed from New York City.
Let's remember Scott Soltis, who just skipped over from Minneapolis.
Oh, Scott Soltis in Minneapolis, Minnesota nuts. Chris Ball in Chicago, Illinois. Simon Marciniak in Poland. Oh, that's nice. 6666. Says, I've got the newsletter. Actually, read the promotions tab. Well, that's great. 39% in Poland. It would be one of our few Polish nights. Robert Lee in Clinton, North Carolina. Magic Tongue in New York City.
Magic Tongue. Spreading
Magic
the love.
Tongue in New York City.
Spreading the love.
I'll bet. Jonas Astrom in Visterbotten in Sweden. Just Getting By in Maplewood, Minnesota. Nuts. Ned Jeffrey in Dural, New South Wales. Werner Flipson in
Bergenhoek. Bergenhoek. Now, I'm not going to read that note because I don't know if people want him to know if he wants people to know that he's the guy.
No. That note does not get read.
No, good.
And Brandon Young, 6666, finally, from Fayetteville, Arkansas. And we want to thank them for helping us on the 6666 bandwagon. Jeez. Aaron Magoffin, 6237, from Woodstock, Ontario. Christopher McClymont in Lewisham, Australia. $55. Susan and Ralph Beardsley from Aurora, Colorado, and she sent a note in. Susan did. Thanks for the Mile High City. Okay, it's a very nice note. Christopher Walker, $50. Matthew Januszewski in Chicago, Illinois, 50. And these are the last 50s. And we've got Justin Fiore in Denver, Colorado. Brett Farrell, as usual, from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And finally, Brian Watson in Raleigh, North Carolina. These are the people that helped us out on show 545. We want to remind people we got 546 coming up on Sunday. And I want to thank everyone. Go to Dvorak.org/NA, NoAgendaShow.com, NoAgendaNation.com, or ChannelDvorak.com/NA to help us out.
Yeah, and I have a couple of extra notes here that popped up. And I have a feeling that Eric is not getting my emails. I'm not sure if he's seeing everything. I've emailed him 3 times, like, where do I send the chocolate that I brought back from Europe? He's not getting back to me, so either he hates me, or...
I would say that would be it.
Okay, because I sent these in, and I don't think he's putting them on the list. Dear Adam, my husband, Jos, made 2 recent donations to the No Agenda Show. His PayPal name was mentioned, VVVVLO. Remember that one from Thursday?
Yes.
But his note was not read. In fact, you asked John if there was a note, and he said, no! I have pasted the note below.
I didn't say it with that kind of enthusiasm.
I have pasted the note below. Could you guys deduce yourselves by reading it in the next show? I'd love to. Hello, Adam John. My American wife, Tanya Long, and a picture here at our wedding in 2009.
MILF. That's one mother I'd like to.
Has her first big opening as an artist as part of the Rediscovery of the World exhibit opening in Amsterdam at the Huis Marseille Museum for Photography this coming Saturday. This is why it was important that he wanted us to read this. That is Saturday the 7th. It would be great to see some No Agenda producers there if they're in the area, so a shout-out would be greatly appreciated by the both of us. We're tired of living the starving artist dream of just getting by. And so here's the regular promotion, etc., etc. Kind regards from Jos van Veldhoven, Eindhoven, the Netherlands. P.S. Other No Agenda listeners in the Eindhoven best area should look me up at Sexy Say Felo. And there you go. And that was Tanya, who was rather upset that her husband's note wasn't read. And then I have...
We also have a note from...
Dame Melody. Do you get the one?
Yeah.
Shall I do this?
That?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the morning, when I sent John his Afghan, I included...
Which I appreciate, by the way.
Yeah, this is Dame Melody, the Lady of the Loom, who has done Afghan for you and for Ms. Mickey and I. I included a letter which he apparently overlooked.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Then I sent it again in an email when he thanked me for the blanket. Again, I can only assume he overlooked it. Here's attempt number 3. Adam, I know I can count on you. She didn't put that in there, but that's what she would think.
Yeah, I didn't see that either.
As an anniversary gift, I would like to have my personal knight in shining armor, Jim Mann, awarded a knighthood. In addition to seeing me through the cancer treatment, he was also making the 9-hour drive between Shreveport and Atlanta, sometimes twice a week, to see his brother in ICU, who was not expected to live. All of this and traveling for work as well. He did this for 3 months at great cost, financial, physical, and mental, and emotional. I'm actually kind of emotional from reading this. Happily, I'm in remission, and his brother made a miraculous recovery. It's deserved karma here. Beautiful. He has already met the contribution level long before I managed it, but he'll never be the one to seek the title. I can't access his accounting, as that will spoil the surprise, so I'm asking you to take the word of a dame, and I'll send the proof afterward. Thank you, Dame Melody, Lady of the Loom. Well, of course, first of all, we trust you implicitly. And we'd love to knight Jim. And she didn't leave what do you want him to be? Or we'll just make him Lord Jim, Knight of the No Agenda Round Table. That's a beautiful story. And
yeah,
then,
that was very sweet.
And then a little troubling from Christian from Berlin. Adam and John, the only thing I use my PayPal account for is the subscription to No Agenda. Yesterday, I got this message. To keep our customers secure, we regularly screen activity in the PayPal systems. During a recent screening, we identified activity that may be in violation of the United States regulation administered by the Department of the Treasury, Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC. We're committed to meeting the OFAC's regulations. One regulation is to ensure that our customers are compliant with applicable laws and regulations, including those set forth by the OFAC. So they limited my account until I send them an ID. Now, what I'm worried about here is if he has only used this account for the No Agenda subscription, are we now seen as a terrorist risk somehow?
No, this is funny, though, because what it indicates to me, and I've seen this happen before, people are trying to send money from outside the country to the U.S. of A.
Right, which you would think would be a good thing.
You'd think would be a good thing, but they're blocking it. Why? Are they? It's not like people that some sleazeball in the U.S. of A. shipping money to somebody in
like some
terrorist operation in
right.
Somalia.
Right.
This is money coming in. This is net worth to the country. It's like important. It's just baffling. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
But really, it's like, so we were just regularly screening. So, this is the kind of thing. This is why privacy matters, people. Okay? So this email could easily have been, hey, we're at Google and we were just doing one of our regular screenings through your email and we saw these words that we thought were like kind of a little off and weird. So just to make sure that you're protected, we've sent it over to the FBI. It's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. So don't worry about your privacy or anything like that. Well, we have a couple of we're going to knight Jim Mann, and of course we proudly give Jordan DeMoss his Lord of the Admiralty and Baronet of the Breweries title, and we appreciate your support. Please continue to support us on Sunday. We're going to have to figure out if we can do anything about our connection and stuff that's been kind of weird for the past few weeks.
.org/NE.
What do you think?
No.
No? It has to be the real one?
Dvorak.org/NA. It's your birthday. On No Agenda.
Matthew Slider congratulates himself today being the 5th of September. Dame Joan Daughterfray This is happy birthday to her son Griffin. He turns 15 tomorrow. Hilya Desarian congratulates herself today being her birthday on the 5th. And Jost Abreu also celebrating today. Happy birthday from all your buddies here at the best podcast in the universe. All right, now let's have Jim. Now, does he qualify as a Black Knight, or since we didn't screw it up, did we? He's just.
We can give him a Black Knight because I screwed up. I didn't read all these notes.
Yeah, that's true. I think we should give. I think he deserves a Black Knight.
Give him a Black Knight.
Yeah, I think it's totally good. All right, Jim, man. Hey, I don't know if you want to participate in our hookers and blow because the lady of the loom is here at the table, Dame Melody. But for you, sir, a rare Black Knighthood. You're hereby Sir Jim, Knight of the No Agenda Roundtable. Come on over. And, please enjoy, if you want, your hookers and blow, your rent boys and Chardonnay, hot pants and booze, long-haired heavy metal and guys, sweatshirts and beer, Rubenettes and Ritter, Geist and sake, vodka and Miller, bong hits and bourbon, sparkling ciders and mutton and mead. Exactly. It's been a challenging day so far.
Yeah, that happens once in a while.
It
Hopefully
does.
people will support us even more.
Yeah. Well,
It never happens.
I don't know what to do. That's my problem. I just don't know what to do about it. Happy New Year,
Well,
by the
after
way.
having checked it with the pings and the dings and all the rest of it, I bet you there is something going on between these two systems.
That's not so unsurprising. I mean, they're both cable companies. They're ditch diggers.
They hate each other.
We used to say back in the day when at MTV in the early days, we'd have to. So, and this is 1987, 1988. We had just gotten onto basic cable, and it was touch and go because you'll remember when cable came around, John. The television industry laughed at it. They were like, this is not real. No, advertisers didn't know how to advertise. No one could figure out exactly what it was. It was very strange.
Right, and when it began, it used to be called community television, CATV.
Exactly. CATV.
It wasn't even the cable industry. It was the guys who had out in the suburbs were trying to get a better signal from, so they put up these big receivers, and then they would send the cable signal to the locals. You'd get a really good signal when you were in a fringe area. That was the original idea.
Yeah, and these guys, there were tons of them. They had their little networks, and there were bigger ones and smaller ones, and they've all since been rolled up into these couple of conglomerates. But back in the day, we'd talk about them as ditch diggers. Ditch diggers. But then we'd have to go out and blow them to make sure they kept us kept our signal on. And so now the mentality is still, I think it's still ditch digger mentality.
I don't know. But it's the tail wagging the dog, where the TV stations would say, "God, can you put us on your thing, please, please, please? We'll give you money if you carry us."
Right.
And then it switched around where the cable company saying, "Yeah, if you pay us, we'll put you on."
Right. And now, they run the infrastructure. And so we've got a crappy cable system running your internet, and I've got a crappy, although I've been generally happy, but they still have to connect somewhere. And this our connection has not been groovy.
No. In fact, you're breaking up now.
Yeah, so I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to proxy out somehow, and we'll figure. It's been like this for a month. So, and by the way, they do this to their customers all the time. Witness.
Yeah, so you go up to the business class.
Yeah, no. Not even, forget that. Witness Time Warner, my cable company, who just said, "Screw you, customers. We're taking CBS and Showtime off our system. We don't care what you want to watch." Which is ludicrous. Yeah, we don't. It's back now, but we don't care what you want to watch. So they may be in some kind of tiff over peering with Comcast. Who knows? Maybe one of our sysadmins or network admins can tell us and can really help us out. In fact, we should be able to, we should have sysadmins who can help us with private routing. I'm telling you, this can be done. At the BGP level, we can have some kind of, just for us even, it can be done. It's funny how there's never a cool sysadmin working at Time Warner Cable who sends us an email. You think
some guys go through there, but they never stick around. It must be boring.
It must be horrible. Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see what we can do. We're going to have to fix it one way or the other. Or we just quit the show because it's not really working.
I think we'd go broke.
Quite rapidly, yes. All right, what you got here, Johnny Boy? I got maybe one or two things. We spent a lot of time. Well, there's the Wiener meltdown. Of course, everyone saw this. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, leave that for what it is. I thought
I didn't think the Wiener thing you're talking about him doing the Caribbean accent.
No, I'm talking about him yelling he had got into a verbal fight at a deli in New York.
Oh, I never got to see that. I think you should play it.
Oh.
Charming. Yeah, it takes one to know one, jackass. What's that? What's that? What's that? You wait till I walk out till you say anything. That's courage. That's courage. You wait till I walk out to say, okay. Yeah, you're not afraid of anything. Don't use language in front of kids.
You have a nerve to even walk around in public.
You're a perfect person?
I'm not
You're my
perfect,
judge?
But I didn't
what rabbi taught you that?
I didn't do it.
What rabbi taught you that you're my judge?
You're fine. You talk to God and work out your problems, but stay out of the public eye.
I'm not going to say it. That's up for you to judge, my friend.
Yes.
I don't take my judgment from you, and I don't judge you.
You're a bad example.
That's your judgment.
This goes on for like 2.5 minutes, where it's this guy saying, look, you're just a douche. Essentially, he's saying you're scumbag, I think is what he said. And Wiener kept saying, you don't judge me. Did your rabbi tell you to judge me? And of course, it's Rosh Hashanah, so this is like Jews at their worst. In a deli, one Jew yelling at another Jew, and it's just it is so, it's like a train wreck. It is a total. What did we put in the book for when he kills himself, Wiener?
We don't have a date.
No, we don't have a date. We do have.
I think it was before the end of the year that you said, maybe.
Because it's so.
I know it's leading up to it because he's off the rails.
I mean, this is one of those things. One of these fights you just don't have. If you are.
No, you walk.
Yeah, of course. It's really like, oh my gosh. And everyone's just deserted the guy. I mean, he's got interns showing up to rallies to make it look like somebody's there. It's really intensely sad, I'll have to say. Boy, I'm really with the New World Order today. I'm liking the president. I find Wiener sad. I don't know what to do with myself.
You've been drugged, my friend. Drugged.
I'm telling you, Miss Mickey has drugged me, and I have not recovered. All right, I do have. Here you go. This was a little tidbit that I wanted to pick up on. I'm sure you've heard about it, although it's hard to get any other kind of news other than are we gonna kill people in Syria or not? But I have a little bit of data on another one of these fake Fukushima reports.
Now we'll go back to events in the Middle East a little bit later on in the programme. In the meantime, we've got some news just coming in from Japan, where the radiation reading at a water tank at the ruined Fukushima nuclear power plant has risen by 18 times. Now, on yesterday, the level of radiation near the bottom of the tank was strong enough to kill an exposed person in 4 hours. The operator of the plant, TEPCO, has said that a new leak's been detected from a pipe connecting 2 other tanks.
So they interrupted the BBC News to bring you this breaking report that there's radiation that can kill a person within 4 hours. And what happened? Apparently, they were only measuring 100 millisieverts per hour, but they were using an old-fashioned detector, and it only went to 100. When they got one that went to 11 or whatever, it turns out it was 1,800 millisieverts per hour. 18 times! Now, here is the problem that was not reported as the measured dose rate was 100% beta radiation, measured at a distance of 70 micrometers from the radioactive material. Beta radiation can be shielded by a piece of paper and only travels about 1 to 2 meters in dry air. So, yeah, if you took that, it was in a puddle, if you put your face in the puddle, licked it for 4 hours, you might get sick. But the BBC has to propagandize this as some huge thing, and it's just more disinformation, setting us up for more gas usage, essentially. I need a jingle for this Fukushima stuff.
I think that you've now, by doing it, going back to the well on Fukushima and actually becoming an Obama bot, literally on the show.
What? I'm fighting.
And the other stuff, the other one you mentioned.
What?
It's like, I don't know what's happened.
But wait a minute. I'm going back to the well, saying that this is bull crap.
Yeah, but it's like you're compounding your position on these things. It's just like, this is not the Adam we expected with the flying saucers and the cars that run on water and some of these other crazy things.
Well, but wait a minute. I
want the car on water. Back to that.
No, I want my pickup truck to run on wood. That's what I want. The gasification.
Well, you could probably work that out. I mean, there was a lot of cars that were running on wood.
All right.
You have to have a fireman in the back.
I'm sorry. Well, I'll tell you what. Then why don't we just quit?
Very disappointed.
Quit while we're ahead. All right. Let's pay attention to see what happens with the G20. We probably won't get much before. I would be surprised if we were dropping bombs by Sunday. Let's see what happens on the. Let's see. The 11th is Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see what happens.
So that's when it's going to be something's going to go on.
It's expected by then, yes.
You can play the little clip for people who want to record these things. I was watching a Bond movie, and I got this. I've always wanted to get this clip because it's always been funny. You can put that at the end of the show.
Okay, if I could see which one it was.
It's called "My Martini Is Still Dry."
Okay. All right.
Very famous clip from one of the Bond films. People have to guess what it is.
All right.
And can't think of anything else.
All right. Coming to you from...
I know there's something we're forgetting.
Yeah, probably. But we'll figure it out on Sunday. We'll be here. Remember us, Dvorak.org/NA. Thanks for hanging in there, chat room. Coming to you from Austin Tejas in the morning. I'm Adam Curry.
And from Northern Silicon Valley, I'm John C. Dvorak.
We'll be back on Sunday right here on No Agenda.
Oh! How reckless of me. I made you all wet.
Yes, but my martini's still dry. My name's James.
Hello, James.
Adios, mofo.
The best podcast in the universe.
Dvorak.org/NA